Hello and welcome back to the EU SMITE Challenger Circuit. J-Mac Tucker here with Alpha Jackal for our final week of regular play. We're going to be starting off for our first set of the day here with Donkey Hoof versus the Snake Pit.
Yeah, two teams at opposite ends of the spectrum. One on the up and rising after their shaky start in week one, and the other one sort of stagnating in that third seed position. Looks to try and push on and get some momentum going into this final week, possibly into their inclusion in the finals.
Yeah, one of the things that we've been kind of talking about week to week with, especially Donkey Hoof, is just their improvement that they've been having, this uphill that they've been on towards, but they just haven't been able to quite snag that win just yet on really one of the bigger name teams of the SCC.
No, but this is a good chance for them to put a statement piece out there because, as you said, unfortunately they haven't been able to find a win yet, which means they will be involved in relegations going into the next split. So now it's a chance for them to build up on just that fear factor, the fact that they are an SCC team and they can prove that they are worthy of staying here if they can find just even a game here against the Snake Pit.
And one of the things that we talk a lot about has been their draft improvement as we get ready to go into the picks and bans for game number one here. Their drafts in week number one were questionable, I think is the best word to say it onto that one. But as the weeks have been going on, they've been getting better at drafting a more unified composition, but they've still been somewhat lacking on those executions. And here in week number 4, it's time to really put their money where their mouth is and see if they can get that big win. But Snake Pit, our first pick this time around, they're going to take Nemesis off the table.
And no surprise to see Persephone is going to be taken away by the boys of Donkey Hoof. I would imagine that we're going to be seeing Morrigan, Cthulhu, maybe even a Sobek taken away as well. Snake Pit really do like running that Sobek. But the Jing Wei ban tells me that the Snake Pit are going to be looking for aggression in the dual lane and just don't want Donkey Hoof to have that safety.
They could also be setting up for potentially to pick up the Freya themselves. We always know that when Freya gets picked, you kind of just go with Jing Wei as the staple right after. If Donkey Hoof don't ban it away, we could see Snake Pit pick that one up themselves. Morgan taken off the table is no surprise. Probably, at least in Europe, I would say the most heavily picked and banned god outside of Persephone, just because of Persephone. I would say it's just been the name Morgan is just synonymous with ban in EU.
Yeah, and it's just, you don't really have that same factor going on the North American side. She's let through consistently. Freya's going to be taken away, which means Cthulhu is going to make it through this set of bans. No surprise to see if Snake Pit do pick that one up early. But the Sobek is, again, an option that they could look to take. I know that, like I said, Snake Pit do love to play the Sobek a lot. They do like to flex it between support and the solo lane, but you can't give up Cthulhu in this stage of the game.
Yeah, I mean, when you have Cthulhu sitting there ripe and ready for the taking, you just got to grab it, you know. Other picks that there is still available for Donkey Hoof, though, like you said, Sobek, they could take that one away from Snake Pit. There's also Umoja has been left open, and Amaterasu, who's kind of been one of the... They got Cthulhu, so just grab this goddess to make sure we have something to fight against it.
Amaterasu has been proven to be, quite a strong pick recently because she has received some minor changes quite recently, and the shift in the mid-season meta favors her quite heavily. She likes building into this more bruiser style of warrior build rather than going into something full-on tanky. Even though she does suit the tank quite well, her scaling and her damage is out of this world for a warrior. Yeah,
she's never really fallen out of any favor for any teams or any meta. She's always kind of just been sitting there kind of a low point. And then there's that one god that comes in and goes, hey, remember Amma existed? I think they'd be really good against this. And that's kind of been, I think, what's in the rear rise of Amma is they got Cthulhu. Well, let's just get a god that can give us more damage against him.
Now, let's get a god that's also quite effective in the late game, has a decent early game. Speaking of which, Merlin and Sobek fit those bills quite well too, so they're going to be locked in here for the Snake Pit. So far, only magical damage on their side, so Donkey Hoof would be looking to ban out some physicals here, especially those assassins from the jungle. But Hu Yi's going to be taken away as a hunter, because they already have their hunter locked in. So no surprise to see some ADC bans coming out. Might look to ban out another one. I would say maybe Heimdall could be taken away.
Heimdall is an option with Rama picked up, Jing Wei already banned, and pretty much all the magical hunters. I don't think Soul would be the option, so Uller is going to be the choice for that one. I like that ban. You throw an Uller and a Sobek in a lane, and it's a rough time for you. One thing we didn't even mention is that Angry just got to casually play Merlin again this game. I mean, Angry has been allowed this god so many times this split. It's just unreasonable.
Yeah, just Yeah, the talking point of, yeah, they got Cthulhu, got that Sobek, and, oh yeah, Merlin's still part of the thing. Agni going to be the choice of mid here for Donkey Hoof to go up against that Merlin, and I kind of do like that matchup a fair bit. Agni's dash does give him some safety against the Cthulhu, long-range stun, as well as the Meteor's able to cast from so far away. He does have safety against the mid-range Merlin, but that Cupid pick just... It really says to me that Snake Pit have got this draft on lock. They know exactly what Donkey Hoof were looking for, and have picked one of the perfect counters to it.
Yeah, not just against the Agni, but the Amaterasu as well, and the Rom that's going to force out ult for ult, and the Kali. It's a last pick from Donkey Hoof, going for a little bit more of that mid-late game with this Assassin. And we didn't even mention that the set got picked up on the side of Snake Pit. We've been seeing a little bit of his rise as of recent sets and as of recent matchups as well. So, I mean, how does this set fit into this composition as we get ready to go into the very first game of this set?
Well, from the side of Snake Pit, you have a look at Cthulhu and Sobek, and you could even say Cupid as well, have good initiations on their side. So Worst Turtle on this set will be able to just go in as a second, third, even fourth point of initiation. And by that time, the relics will be down, most of the ultimates will be down, and that should be, the cue for Worst Turtle to wreck face in these fights.
Well, it's going to be Raiden and Yakin teaming up with the Rom Yamoja dual lane. A very aggressive lane, a very clear, heavy lane as well. So it's going to be a little bit of a tough time for Dacer Spodio, which level 1, they really don't have that great of a clear, especially as a Cupid who already kind of struggled with it. Level 1's kind of one of his weakest points for clearing.
Yeah, but doesn't have to really worry about that when he's got Dazer on this Sobek. I mean, whenever the Snake Pit have been given an option to take the Sobek, it always goes to Dazer, and Dazer always finds a way to be the most annoying, aggressive person with it, and it pays off for them 9 times out of 10.
And I like that they took it away from Yakin. Now, Yakin obviously picked up the Yamoja. Going up, Dazer's going to go ahead and get that Spirit Minion for himself. Means he'll be able to hit that level 2, can make a very aggressive play early on, but I mean, at this point, they're sitting so far back with the minions. They'll have it for the wave, but if they get this Alpha Harpy, and that could be a level 2 matchup here very early on in the lane.
I don't think going to be able to get this with the Sobek just around. Oh, good weight there. Good presence of mind to just allow Dazer to do the right thing, which is Sickening Strike to help them out. Dazer does hit level 2, as you did mention. Got the Spirit Minion to himself. But this is a good start here for the Ram and the Emoja, as you'd expect they do at the pressure. One thing you didn't expect is the fact that Pred's looking early on for the invade against the set. He's on the Kali, not particularly strong in those first few levels.
Yeah, especially against the set, who does very well in the early levels. When you don't have your means of stunning him out or jumping away from him, those slows are really big in the early game. When your boots aren't online, you don't have any kind of mobility for yourself. And you can already see that put to work there as Preds took about half his health in that little engagement. Back into the tool lane and into the mid lane we go. Gunter gets a kill onto Angry early on, teaming up alongside Preds. It looks like we're going to get the beats from Angry earlier on.
Yeah, that was just a good old-fashioned, we ganked you once, we're going to gank you again, and fights going on over in the duo side again. The curse comes out from Yokin to get himself some distance, but another dive from Preds, going to be rewarded with a kill, does die for it, but that's Akali getting another kill in the early game. Well, kill and an assist. That's a really good start here for Donkey Hoof.
That's a huge boon for them to get it early on. You can see here a quick dash in after the stun previously got their first kill. And I imagine we'll get to see a little bit of a replay later on to see how the second kill went down for. But great play out of this mid jungle, out of Donkey Hoof. This is the kind of push that they need early on, is to be able to get these early kills, because this is typically where they shine, is this early game. You can see the dive in under the tower. Preds managed to find that last basic. Got that reset for it. Still fail after, but getting that kill is so big for him.
Yeah, the fact that it was a mark kill as well is really big for Preds, because that just gives him an extra gold bounty of another 25%. That means he's going to be able to get his boots online faster, get himself, towards those kin size, those all important kin size faster. And, kin size is going to be a pickup here for Kali in this build at some point. Going up against the Sobek, Set's most likely going to build some health on himself and that Cthulhu.
Oh, Gunter, a little bit of advance here. He should hit level 5 before Angry. And, well, as we can see now, he has hit 5, so has access to those bombs. A lot of free poke with Agni. It's one of the kind of a mid laner that gets slept on for a long time. And then people remember again, oh, hey, Agni is this. He does kind of okay against most matchups. You don't really win, you don't really lose, but that free poke is so big on this mage.
It is indeed. It's going to allow this Carly to, get in on top of Angry quite often, because the Agni is going to force the Flicker out very easily without long-range stun, just because of the damage follow-up potential from it. And that means Pred's going to have that Blink available. Blink gets another stun off with the fact that the beats are down, just like this. And that's going to be a kill for Preds yet again. Worst Turtle looking to try and get some return kill here, but the immunity is a good kill there from Preds. In fact, it's a double kill for Worst Turtle in return, so not exactly the best play there from Donkey Hoof. It does put more pressure on the mid lane, but 3 kills already for the set.
Didn't get the reset on the health that they were looking for.
Oh,
great Riptide from Yakin. Keeps Spudio locked down. Unfortunately, Dacer walks into it as well. Takes a little stun afterwards, but that Riptide out of Yakin. We've seen him pick up this emoji a couple of times just because teams are saying, you know what? Just have it. See what you can do with it. And Yakin has proven every week why you just need to
it's just because there's loads of different things that need to be banned right now. You have a look at the fact that Persephone needed to be banned. Cthulhu got led through of all things as well because of Jingwei ban outside of that. Morrigan needs to be taken away. Nemesis potentially needs to be taken away from most teams here. There's a lot of things that are quite strong right now that you can allow the emoji, you can allow the Cthulhus from time to time to get through.
And Angry's kind of in a position he's not used to. Usually he's been left to free farm almost every single time in every game he's played. We kind of just get to see Angry sit in the back, free cast, not worry about anything. But Donkey Hoof has drafted a dive comp against him, and it's put him in a position he's just so uncomfortable with. Up into the ultimate goes Tarum, but he's going to fall very quickly into the dazzling offensive out of Bevy. Worst Turtle in a now potentially 3v1 situation as the support rotates over to the solo lane. Worst Turtle is just forced to go back towards the camp, but Yakin's not going to just let him walk over there for free. He's going to stand here and deny him this blue buff farm.
Look who else is rotating. It's Gunter on this Agni, just trying to put some pressure and to, punish this failed invade coming out from the Snake Pit, and it's very successful. Yet another blue buff goes their way, and Bevy monster claims it, but more importantly, Tarum doesn't have access to one himself. Rotation coming out from the rest of the Snake Pit, but it's too little too late. It's Donkey Hoof do find themselves with a 2-kill advantage, just not anything to really talk about in terms of a gold or experience lead.
Now, unfortunately, Dazer unable to connect that pluck as well. The charge fray just off the mark because of the retire by Yak, and otherwise that could have set up for another potential fight. But a 5-3 kill lead so far, and really not that much gold. Only 250 in favor of Donkey Hoof. Once again, Snake Pit coming big with their farm game over anything else.
Yeah, Donkey Hoof just haven't been able to get this neutral farm. You saw them get the mid camps earlier, but the Oracle farm, some of those other mid camps just on the sides on the Gold Fury side, sorry, they've been sort of going the way of the Snake Pit often, and they've been also getting their Gold Chalice a bit more on cooldown, back camps a bit more on cooldown, especially the ones on the Gold Fury side. Terran going to just be forced to take a stun there, but he's not too worried about it.
Nah, he's going to turn that around instantly and just be able to safely clear up. Raiden up here against Spudio. You think that, but here comes the Kali for the reset, and Pred's able to get the final blow onto Tarum. That'll be another kill on the board for Donkey Hoof. So a lot of focus on this mid and right side of the map. Raiden going to get hit by a heart bomb diving inside of the ocean, or the rivers, I should say. Spudio just narrowly going to walk away from one return, but not the second one. Again, Yakin cutting off the path, and Spudio taking a second fall.
But Preds also takes a third fall there. We're still getting aggressive in the side of Donkey Hoof's jungle. The only one with kills, Angry, is going to get a clean-up kill onto Raiden here. Well, it should be. In fact, Dazer might be the one to be the recipient of this one. Somebody's going to claim it. There it is. Dazer does pick that one up. 5-7 now. And finally, somebody outside of Worst Turtle has a kill on the Snake Pit.
Well, Worst Turtle now looking for Bevy, potentially, with the Kingslayer ultimate. The healing is good, but not good enough to save you from Gunner's bomb. Already online with that. Look, is that a Chronos pendant, or is that... No, it's Spear the Magus online this early for Gunter. Already has his boots and Spear. I mean, this is a major farm this mid laner's been getting.
Yeah, Spear of the Magus, once it had that change going into the mid-season update, it has been picked up on pretty much every single mage, just because of that passive of it. Giving, your entire team extra damage onto a single target is really, really good. It also helps with some teamfight calls. You can say that this person's been marked by your Spear of the Magus, so let's focus on this person, take him down quicker, and, be able to invade on some red buffs easier.
Angry wasn't too happy about the fact his red buff was stolen, so he throws an ice bolt right at Preds, but Preds is going to turn right back to him. Flickers out immediately. He's angry. He doesn't want to lose his beads and potentially take more poke than he's willing to accept. Rotation into the mid lane from Dazer to try and give his mid laners some kind of safety and support here, because it's just been constant diving onto him. Even despite the 2 deaths, Angry is barely only a half a level behind Gunner right now.
And that's just the farming prowess of the Snake Pit. You see that they're getting those back camps on this left-hand side where West Turtle is right now on cooldown. Once you've been paying attention, Donkey Hoof's back camps on the left-hand side, which Preds did just pick up, they've been up quite often comparatively. So, you know, to see that Donkey Hoof haven't got that far ahead in farm is, you know, it almost does make a bit more sense if you look at the game that way. But that big gold swing that happened, that was when they killed West Turtle.
That's going to be the flicker out of Angry right under the tower. Preds goes, and he has the destruction if he needs it. Will use it just to guarantee that he can go through. But Worst Turtle has made his rotation through into the Kingslayer, and the Skewer with the spawns will be enough to take down Preds. A 1-for-1 trade, but coming in very big for Worst Turtle as he's able to continue to keep Preds down. Looking over towards Bevy. Dazer stuck in the middle of the river. Gunner going to get thrown back into the depths of it and into the grasps of Terrum. He's going to throw out the knockup. He's going to hit Yakin and Bevy. Meanwhile, Spudio gets a solo kill onto Raiden. Dazer gets thrown into the Riptide, but he'll be able to make his way out, making it a 2-for-1 trade for Snake Pit.
Yeah, you can say that's a good play there from Snake Pit. Originally, just good dive coming out from Donkey Hoof, good pressure again onto Angry, but it amounts to nothing. In fact, it amounts to a loss for them as Carly once again hits the floor. See Spudio here, how he gets this solo kill, forces the beads out quite early thanks to that Fields of Love ultimate. He's going to dash in here aggressively any second now. There it is. Hits the harp on 180. And down he goes.
I mean, that was a stylish little 180 harp bomb onto that one immediately out of the dash. I mean, especially with the minion wave right there. The minions could have aggroed, stopped in place. But, I mean, great little snipe there by Spudio to hit that harp bomb, get himself a solo kill, to keep himself alive in this game. He was down 0-2 after the consistent ganks over on that left-hand side. But now he's sitting at 1-2 after getting that first kill and keeping himself even on the stacks now with those Devourer's Gauntlets.
I made no mistake about it. That 180 hop bomb was... that's not easy to hit whatsoever. In fact, it looks like he's trying to get us another solo kill here now. So what are you going to be trying to dodge these snipes out from Rum? Hits all 3, does Raiden. Just not enough damage to get the kill thanks to the hop bomb healing. And without anybody making a rotation, Spuddy is going to be able to get back to base for free. Although he is going to do the Zapman thing of staying for one more wave.
I mean, you got it at this point. You just survived a big ultimate, might as well. You got a full wave coming up. Just get that extra healing. Unfortunately for him, that extra healing comes with the price of Preds making another rotation, wrapping around the backside. He'll be spotted out by the minions. But he does have his ultimate. Will drop it immediately onto Preds. That's going to get the Mez into the destruction. If this is a reset, it might be good for Preds, but unfortunately, it's not. He's living with 1 HP and a dream, but he'll give the kill over to Spudio instead of to Dazer, which I'm a little surprised on.
I think he was just trying to wait for it as long as possible and maybe just hoping that the kill went to the tower rather than onto Spudio, but it's about 10 seconds, or maybe 10, maybe 5 seconds, somewhere between the two, until that kill target does reset back to neutral, so had to wait a long time there, did Preds. Just no space afforded by Dazer.
Yeah, Dazer would not have given him that opportunity. He already used his leap, already had his destruction down, so there was really no way of escaping out of that one for old Preds. He sits with 5 kills, tied with his opposition in kills, but unfortunately he's taken many more deaths, 3 extra deaths compared to Worst Turtle, who's got a 2-level lead on him already.
That is kind of... Where did that come from? Just the 3 deaths been really that detrimental to Preds? I mean, for the most part, it has been Worst Turtle getting the kill onto Preds once he's got on the mark kill, so a bit more experience, a bit more gold fed onto him after the fact. So who knows? It strikes me as odd that it has been that much of a difference. Preds focused a bit too much on ganking rather than farming and ganking at the same time like Worst Turtle has done, maybe?
It's been a lot of consistent dives into mid lane and nothing more beyond there, because every time he dives into the mid lane tower, he dies after he gets the kill. So it's just been these, yeah, I got a kill, but now I'm dead, and this allows Worst Turtle to go and farm a back camp, farm a mid camp, get a buff camp. I mean, there's been nothing from Preds after the kill because he's never been alive after his kill.
And yeah, it's been 13 minutes into the game. Donkey've still got that 2-kill lead, but do find themselves just a slight bit behind in golden experience. If you're a fan of the Snake Pit, this is probably how you imagine this this early game going, when they locked in the Agni, locked in the Kali, just to put as much pressure on Angry as possible. But now you find yourself in an even game, but Spudio could be the next target here instead of Angry, and gets out thanks to some good peel there from Dazer.
Yeah, good charge spray out of the support will make sure the jungler can't continue that aggression through. I like the idea of holding it there. I thought the Heart Bomb was going to get a stun onto Preds as soon as that blink came through, but luckily for Preds, he doesn't take that CC. Tarum dashing through Bevy just to put a little bit of extra damage onto him, and gets a little bit of that fear, and forces the ultimate on the Spudio on that left-hand side, so Preds has to leap away and use his purification beads for it.
Oh, good block by Dazer, puts Yokin into a bad position, because look who's rotated as well, so Terrorim. Both of the tanks are stuck in that River's Rebuke. Riptide gets Yokin out of there, but on the backside, Angry is once again the target of focus. Preds gets the reset, but it's going to be at 40% less thanks to Worst Turtle's anti-heal, and that's going to force the kill for Terror.
Tarum going to pick up one. Into the back goes Dazer again. We'll finally find Yokin, who somehow was still alive during all that, but Dazer will pay with his life. The root not going to land out of Tarum. Only he's going to get the slow. He's level 13. Everybody else he's staring down is either same or a higher level than him, so he's going to have to back away. Starting up the Gold Fury is Donkey Hoof. A little bit of a risky call with Tarum being here, as well as Spudio. Gunner going to get one stun, but with those thorns popped immediately out of the soul lander, he's going to have to reconsider his options. We're starting with the Kingslayer. Will manage to find one, and caught in the middle of all of the spawns is Bevy. Double kill for Worst Turtle. Puts him with 7 on the board.
That's going to be a free Gold Fury over here for the Snake Pit as well. Donkey Hoof get a nice 2-for-2 trade. Look for the objective and just... I don't think that was the right call, go for the objective, with the fact that Terrorim, Worstable, and Spudio were all up and standing. They did get a couple more kills or a couple more backs to base, and they're going to look for the objective, and they paid a price for it.
In level 15 on this set, I was kind of questioning how the set was going to fit into this composition and kind of going up against what he is, but I mean, so far, Worst Turtle has been doing so well on this jungler with basically a no CC jungler against a very mobile and very heavy CC team. I was a little bit worried for him.
Well, he's doing exactly what you should be doing as a set jungler, is you should be waiting for the initial engagement to happen, where people are going to use their relics, use their mobility abilities, and then from there, you can just go in and tear down the house. That's exactly what he's done. Every single time he's got a kill onto Preds for diving underneath the tower. It's been the blink, it's been the ultimate, it's been, you know, the leap coming out from the Kali. Then there's no more escape, no more chances to get away from Worst Turtle at that point. Donkey Hoof do get some consolation with the Pyromancer. That's just to stem a tiny bit of this bleeding, as Raiden's going to be the next one to fall.
Worst Turtle is going to pop that Sandstorm to try and get a little bit of fight into it. Teleports right behind Raiden. Nothing personal, kid, as he takes him down for his 8th kill of the game. Great play out of the jungler once again to try and keep Spudio alive in this lane. Now 2 and 3 for both of the carries.
Yeah, you can see the net worth coming out from Worst Turtle just going up and up and up. The gap is opening up even more. Preds caught in a worst bad spot, which is his own jungle. Dazer is there, and he doesn't want any farm to be happening for the Kali. Backed up by Worst Turtle, so they look to try and get this tier 1 tower on the left-hand side, as the rest of Donkey Hoof valiantly defend the tower in the mid lane. I think that's the best choice that they can do at this point, as the Snake Pits start to put their stamp on this game and look to try to take the tier 2 as well.
They will clear out the wave, just allow it to push into tower, so not going to continue the aggression any further. They do have one ward on that side of the map right there above the back Harpy camp, but not going to push this early into the tier 2 is Snake Pit. They're going to hold on to their lead, this 1,500 gold lead that they managed to pick up despite being down for the majority of the game. They've been, in just these last couple of minutes, spiking that gold back up in their favor.
It's the kills that they've gotten have been a bit more valuable. Like I said, it's just been once somebody on the side of Donkey Hoof has gotten a kill for themselves, so a bit more of gold and experience on that bounty. But they've also been able to get something after those kills. Most importantly, that Gold Fury, that tier 1 tower on the left-hand side, a couple of buff invades here and there. And it's been good, solid play from the Snake Pit, not to just go, oh, well, we're down a few kills. Let's just, you know, try and go as aggressive as possible and see if we can't turn the tides that way. It's been methodical play here. They're being rewarded for it. A tier 1 tower mid falls down as well, so they start to open up a slight lead.
Yeah, it's a good thing Riptide is like one of the best mobility abilities in the entire game, because Yokin would never have gotten out of that otherwise if he didn't get the ability to throw down 2 Riptides in the midst of that. Gets plucked, drops down 1. Oh man, I'm about to get CC, drop down another one, right back into the safe tower. But tower does fall, so So a little bit of safety taken away from Donkey Hoof with that mid-tier 1 now off the map.
That's something we didn't really touch upon is the fact that Sobek is one of the best counters going into the emoji, but we'll hold that thought there as Spudio falls yet again to Raiden. Assist there for the Kali to get himself a tiny bit more health back. Dazer still looking to try and continue this aggressive play because he knows Worst Turtle is coming around the corner, but he's going to be caught out between those Rivers Rebuke. Preds taking a lot more damage he would have expected. They're looking for the Crocodile. I don't know if they can get him as he goes looking into the waters, but Preds is just chewing him up with the chainsaw.
He will manage to pick him up. Now Worst Turtle is staring down the barrel of the gun as Raiden is just pumping auto after auto right into him. And there's just nothing he can do about it. The healing factor is not quite there for him as his Kingslayer is not going to give him quite enough to deal with this carry this early on into the game. I mean, the chainsaw out of Preds is just so potent at this point. He's already got that serrated edge online, the Hazen Katana to boot. Tons of attack speed, tons of movement speed on this jungler at the moment. Tarum dashes in aggressively into 4 players, goes right into the backline against 3 of them, leaving Preds alone to deal with Angry, but Tarum is just getting bursted into the backline. The bombs at a gunner, not quite enough damage, but he'll find that third one. Worst Turtle dives into the bag, looking for Raiden. Angry managed to get the pickup onto a Destroyer with, what was that, 5 spawns that takes him down? They might be able to continue turning this one. Snake Pit, get a 4th one. Only Yakin left alive as Spudio cleans up the 4th of the kills. Snake Pit, they don't even lose that tier 1 tower. It's still standing.
That's too aggressive there from Donkey Hoof, looking for too much at the same time. They don't even get the thing that they came for, which was the tower. They do get Worst Turtle, though, as a big consolation prize. He was worth a lot of gold at the very end. That's probably the only thing which meant that that engagement comes out even for them, despite the fact it was a 4-for-3 trade in favor of the Snake Pit. They're going to lose the only Fury here, which means some more minions are going to be spawning up in those lanes. Or some more improved minions, should I say. And that's going to spell trouble for Donkey Hoof, because it could open up the opportunity for the Snake Pit to go over to this right-hand side and start setting up aggressively on the Fire Giant.
I mean, Worst Turtle just had an Emperor's New Groove moment where he says, oh, my solo laner's down with all ultimate. Yep. Everybody else in my team is in the middle. Yep. Bring it on. Dives in 1v4, picks up 2 kills before his fall, and 2 more kills on top of that. I mean, Worst Turtle is playing out of his mind on this set.
Oh, this is just a clinic here from him. You can see his build. I thought he was going to go a bit of health, a bit of defense, a bit more of a bruiser build. Nope. Full damage. All 3 of those power and mana items in the Transcendence, the Heartseeker, and the Hydra's Lament. All 3 of them just scream, I want to kill somebody the second I teleport in. Preds wants to do a bit of the same. Forces the beads out of Angry. And that's going to be the call for a disengage here from Donkey Hoof, but Terum's not having any of that. He wants this Kali to pay.
And Terum's not too happy that you took the beads out from Angry. He's got to force Preds all the way back. Even got the destruction out of him. And that sets up for a Pyromancer out of Snake Pit. Worst Turtle just going to clean up the mid camps, level 19 on this set. Tied for highest level in the game with his mid laner and the enemy solo laner out of Bevy Monster, who's had a very quiet game so far. Outside of the initial fight we saw at the Gold Fury, Bevy has been relatively silent so far this game compared to Terrorum.
Yeah, the 2 kills which he has gotten himself are the 2 points that we can really point to, which would have been that fight at the Gold Fury and then the one time that Preds did make a rotation to solo lane to kill Terrorum, and that got off quite successfully thanks to Bevy Monster getting a stun and forcing out the dash early from Terrorum. But like you said, Amaterasu just hasn't shone the way it should do. But it still has the opportunity to. Don't forget, Amaterasu, probably one of the best, if not the best late game warrior in the game, just because of her different auras affecting the team.
Into the mid lane, level 20 now on Worst Turtle and Angry as they cap out their experience, and now it's just straight up items is all that they need left. Worst Turtle really only needs 1 more item as he's only got the Assassin's Blessing left to sell with 9 kills on the board on this set. Like I said earlier, I was kind of questioning how Worst Turtle was going to handle with this god into this composition, but he is playing it perfectly.
Right, he is certainly putting on a show here for us, and Worst Turtle is quite fed right now, but it's getting to the point where it's not going to be as impactful. He's already maxed out his level, so the level differential is going to shrink back to even quite shortly. And he's already finished his 5th item. We're going to go up to that 6th one soon when he sells that Assassin's Blessing. And once he's done that, again, the item gap is going to start closing. So Snake Pit are on a timer here if they want the fact that Worst Turtle has had a fantastic game to matter. of about 5 minutes, maybe even 6, I would say, until that lead no longer matters.
What do you think 6 item would be going into here? Do you just go for the straight glass cannon at this point for Worst Turtle? Do you get like a lifesteal item, like a Blood Forge or a Soul Eater, or do you just go defense at this point? Well, never mind. He answered my question.
I was about to say, you go for a Jotuns. Do I get some points for that?
Yes, 1 brownie point for Alpha Jackal. I will have that sent to you in the mail. It should be there in about 7 to 12 business days.
Are you sure about that? Would say the USPS right now?
Yeah, that's why I said 7 to 12. I gave it a little bit of extra window onto it, but finishing out with a glass cannon style build here for Worst Turtle. Jotun's Wrath, extra cooldown on the board for another Riptide in the back just to throw Tarum against the wall that he was already staring at, so not too worried about that. But Yakin as well been a little bit quiet since the beginning of the game, but that's just because he's always kind of been on the running foot for this team. He's kind of had to play his peel. He's going to throw out the Reverse Rebuke into the middle. It's only going to catch Tarum, who's going to go right into the ultimate as well as Dazer, who's forced into the ultimate as well. Fred's chasing down, trying to get a reset if possible, and he's not going to manage to find one as Dazer cleans up the kill, makes it a 1-for-1, now 1-for-2, as he falls to Raiden's snipe from the sky. Spudio and Angry sitting into the backline as well as Worst Turtle. He's getting healed up by Yakin for the moment. Bevy Monster a little bit low, but with that sustain out of Yamoja, they'll be able to keep alive.
It's an odd decision, though, for Preds to go that aggressive for somebody who wasn't even his mark to get the reset off. Maybe it was the mark, and just the amount of anti-heal he had on top of him meant that it didn't heal whatsoever. They do have full 100% anti-heal if they get the Brawlers, the Divine Ruin, and the Pestilence onto them. But Spudio forced out his beads, forced out the dash guns, eating all the Rain Fire Meteors, and that's like worst cell to get it onto the backside. Kingsley a little bit does come out, he's looking for the aggressive play, but he's in the middle of all 4 members, and without any defense, he is a squishy boy. Spudio, next one to fall shortly. He's by himself, just dashing in lane. It's only a matter of time, and he has to be careful here because the amount of damage that he has.
Well, he's going to heal up a little bit more. Those hearts get stunned out by 1 bomb, and Bevy will finish it with the dash. A little bit of a long-winded engagement. Tarum looking for something. Gunner has to stop the back, but it's going to be the end of it. I'm sure if he would have just held the back, he may have been able to get out of there, but Tarum ends up getting a cleanup kill on the back end of it, so not all for loss for the Snake Pit, but Donkey closed that gap out. Now only about 1,500 in favor of Snake Pit.
You know, and I do favor their composition the later the game gets. I mean, Worst Turtle, as you saw, the lead he had no longer as impactful. He can no longer just dive into the middle of 4 people and walk away scot-free with 2 kills. He's going to take more damage now that the builds have caught up, the levels have caught up. Terrorum's going to get caught up here by Preds. Dazer doing what he can to help Peel activate the true Cthulhu form, but he's going to get torn up inside the River's Rebuke because of it. Preds does get the full reset this time. Dazer, all he can do is dash away, but he's still going to get chased out here by Bevy Monster. The snipes coming up from Raiden as well. Preds doing too much damage with the concerns.
And Angry just 100 to 0ing Preds as he transforms into the ice stance to get the final shot. So Angry holding down the jungler one more time. Worst Turtle diving into the back with that sandstorm, but the Riptide out of Yakin one more time. And to clean it up, the dazzling offensive finds Worst Turtle not able to get that teleport out in time.
I was about to say it was a bad decision from Donkey to start the Fire Chime, but it was actually playing into their hands. They're going to start it up this time. I think it's a bad decision again. But they're just using it to bait fights over and over again. They baited in Worst Turtle. They got the kill onto him. It's just Angry and Spudio. Gunter's joining this fight as well. Half health on the Fire Giant. Spudio and Angry want to try and defend this. Yokin's saying no to this. And look who's here. Gunter with some over-the-wall stunts on Spudio. They know his beats and Aegis are down, and that should be the Fire Giant for Donkey. Great play from this team.
Yeah, with Spudio's so low, there's no way Angry can stick around, so he has to back away himself. Wasn't that Arcane step, so had the opportunity to try and steal it over the wall, but as soon as his carry got bursted down by this mid lane Agni, I mean, Gunner showing what Agni is able to do. You get one of those bomb stuns on, and that's just half of your health gone with the follow-up.
It wasn't even a bomb stun, I don't think. I think it was just an over-the-wall flame wave and into the Noxious Fumes. Number Fury going to be taken down here by Hoof. This is the first objective that they do get with the Fire Giant around their belt. Don't forget that's available for 3.5 minutes for them from now. I'll expect to see that mid-tier 1 fall on maybe 1 or 2 of the tier 2s as well. Phoenixes should still stand here for Snake Pit. And that's where I would look to defend if I was them. Maybe defend on the tier 2 towers if they do have everybody around.
The biggest problem I'm seeing so far in these last couple of fights for Snake Pit is Tarum has been defensively ulting both of them. As soon as he walks in, it's, oh no, I'm in the middle of 5 people. I should press my ultimate so I don't die immediately. As opposed to what we typically see out of Cthulhu, is I'm diving into 5 of you. Here's my ult, rest of my team follow up. But he's been alone or with only Dazer, so there's been no follow-up for him.
That's just been good placement to the River's Rebuke by Yokin. I mean, it's just been separated the fights, and with how thick Cthulhu is, he just can't escape from it, whilst, you know, Dazer and everybody else can fit through those gaps. He's stuck in the middle of it.
Yeah, Tarum is on one big chunky boy. Tier 2 in mid falls, looking towards Tier 2 on the left-hand side. A little bit of a stun out of Spudio, and about half of Bevy's health to follow after. I think that Spear of the Magus proc out of Angry, just get that extra bit of poke onto him, but with Fire Giant down, with the Fury down, and now all towers aside from the solo lane Tier 2 tower. Donkey, if we're going to go back to base and spend up some of that gold that they've earned for themselves to finish out some of these items as a Soul Gem out of Gunter. I love this pickup on this god.
I just love Soul Gem as an item right now. I think it's probably the most criminally underrated magical item right now. Its stats are really good across the board. It's got good cost onto it. That cooldown reduction is really, really nice. But what's more, the passive is probably one of the best passives in the game for a mage item. Deal bonus damage equal to 30% of your magical power. That's a lot of magical power. Plus the 40% of your magical power being like healing. And an AoE that heals your team as well. I mean, I would still get it if it was just the damage, but that extra healing on top makes it even sweeter.
And on a god like Agni who can apply it so easily. You throw Nox, you just throw Nox's Fumes, and well, we're gonna throw a River's Rebuke into the midst and force Angry to flicker out. Tarum is getting ripped apart by Preds. The anti-heal is massive. Preds barely got any healing back off of that. Dazer gets one pluck, but Bevy diving under the tower. Angry throwing out those arcane abilities are making sure that nobody can continue forward. Worst Turtle's looking for a way in, but he just can't find it. Preds barely survives. They get a 1 for none and a Tier 2 tower.
And it's just, once again, Yokin's River's Rebuke separating the fight into 2 separate halves. It's, let's kill the tanks before the carries can do anything about it. This plan of theirs is working out wonders. The Shred coming out from Preds with his max attack speed. Raiden also has the kin size online. These tanks are not surviving one bit. And it's just such a masterful plan here. Something so simple.
Oh, Dazer gets one pluck in, and that's the end of his life. Jumping in is Preds, looking for the kill. Onto Angry, and Will manages to find it, but Spudio gets the cleanup kill. It's a 2 versus 4 at the Titan. Worst Turtle is delaying them for the time being. One big stun out of the mid laner will hold Worst Turtle in place. River's Rebuke used as a defensive mechanism trying to hold him back. To get the right side Phoenix, mid one will fall as well. Tarum just gonna do his best to delay them as much as he can. 2 Phoenixes down for Snake Pit. No end in sight yet for Donkey Hoof. But this is one of the better positions they've been in as of recent times.
If you said to me after they had that loss in week 1, do you think they'll hold up this well against Snake Pit as well and take them 32 minutes into the game and look like they're in a position to win? I'd have said no, they won't. But they've done it. They're 32 minutes into a game against the Snake Pit, the 3rd best seed in Europe right now. And it looks like they could win right now. 2 Phoenixes down, 1 up on that left-hand side. The mid lane is the best Phoenix to have alive if you are a fan of the Snake Pit. But it's still the opportunity to just end this game. And I like the you know, the calm calls coming out from Donkey Hoof. They could have just had a bit of a nosebleed and looked to have ended there. But they realized that the Fire Giant was wearing off themselves very shortly, decided to back out and take the safe option and look to end this game cleanly.
And not just that, a team that each week has shown that their early game is their best time. Their late game is where they really start to struggle. Coming this far into the late game and standing the test of time here against Snake Pit, the 3rd seeded team. This is a massive improvement coming out of Donkey Hoof. Win or lose, I mean, this is a team that now has shown and proven that they can stand up to these SCC teams. And with this game alone, the draft that they have allowed to go against them, Bevy going to get hit by the pluck. And Heart Bomb will stun out 2. Riptide not going to find anybody, but a couple of bombs on the Dazer takes him down about a quarter of his health.
Yeah, didn't get the Soul Gem proc onto Dazer, but did get the Soul Reaver onto him. Also got the Spear of the Magus and the Obsidian Shard proc, so a lot of damage went onto him. Dazer blinks into the backside. Tarum is put into the middle of the River's Rebuke. Preds using that ult, but yet again, you can tell who the mark is. It's always been selected as Tarum. And that's been the plan here. Use that extra % pen from the Kali's mark to take down Terram in a blink of an eye.
The only problem for Preds is because they know he's the mark, they're able to get that anti-heal onto him so quickly. You can see every single time, 80% anti-heal is just applied to him between Angry and Worst Turtle. Make sure he doesn't get a massive heal, but the problem for Snake Pit is, even though he doesn't get that massive heal, they can't get the follow-up kill. They're not able to get that last bit of damage to chunk him down once the ultimate is over.
Yeah, they're going to pay for that with the Fire Giant, the enhanced Fire Giant, going the way of this Donkey Hoof team. Red buff going to go onto Raiden as well as they look for the Oni Fury. Look to spawn 2 waves of enhanced fire minions on that mid and right-hand side. You see the spawning up as well. It's just, a regular enhanced wave. Nothing too shabby to speak of. Coming down on this left-hand side as well to join them as they look to siege this Phoenix. No backdoor protections going to be available for the Phoenix as well, thanks to this enhanced Fire Giant. So Donkey Hoof can go in at any point here.
And they have all the time in the world to push down this left side Phoenix. They've got 2 waves of minions, but Angry is going to shut that down very quickly. Hits him with a beautiful pull in with the Eclipse. Just sitting back into the Phoenix. Patient play out of Donkey Hoof, and that's what they need in this push. They've got enhanced fire minions coming up 2 lanes. What do they care about rushing into this one? They can sit here as long as they need to.
And there you go. They've pinged them out themselves. I think the plan is to wait for somebody to show up on the map trying to deal with one of them. It's going to be Worst Turtle in that mid lane. That right-hand side Phoenix, I think, is a goner at this point. See regular Fire Wave pushing into it. Now the enhanced Fire Wave is just about to join it as well. That should be the call for them to go in, and it is indeed. They're going to go for this Phoenix, and it's gone before the River's Rebuke even ends.
I mean, just a smart play out of Yakin. Throw the River's Rebuke, make sure no one can walk in or walk out in case they want to defend it. Left side has fallen. Worst Turtle unable to save it because of those enhanced fire minions. Pluck in onto Bevy Monster. He gets thrown back, but he's still sitting over half health. Pred's going to dive in onto Spudio. Going to force the beats. Andy Egg gets very early on. Preds will get 1 kill with the ultimate. Second one goes through, but Angry manages to find 1 before he can finish it out. That is 2 down for only 3 down for just Preds. Minions pushing in. It's only Angry and Terram here to defend. Angry has a lot of damage, but he flickers right into a bomb. Manages to get 1 with the Eclipse. Now it's a 3 versus 2. But Terram is not able to hold them out with 3 at full health and the Titan at none. Donkey Hoof take game number 1 off of Snake Pit.
It was a very impressive game for them as well. It looked like it could have been curtains for them once Worst Turtle got off to the start that it did. What was it, 9-2 on the set? Snowballs completely throughout the early game. Just they just couldn't get the objectives that they needed to quickly enough. They couldn't get the ball rolling fast enough for the rest of the members. And I have to say it that Yakin had a fantastic game on this emoji that was just too difficult to deal with. The way they split the fights with those River's Rebukes was unbelievably good.
Yeah, that's one thing that we got to take away from this going into the draft of the next game is, are you really going to let Yakin have another Yamoja game? I mean, that performance of him was exceptional. The early Riptides to get the kills on the Spudio early in the game, I mean, those were fantastic out of him. And then, as you said, the River's Rebukes on point every fight. Grab Terram, leave him in here. He's done for. Who's next? I mean, I cannot see this Yamoja going over to Donkey Hoof in game 2.
No, and I think another thing to consider is, do they want to give Preds to Kali again? I mean, the amount of space that this Kali created, second highest damage on the team, just behind Raiden on that Rom. But Rom's got those range-based attacks, don't forget. I mean, his slash line at the end was 16 and 11. And if somebody has 11 deaths, you're thinking, do they really deserve, a praise for the game that they played? But, most of those deaths were coming off the back of creating so much space for the rest of the team to work with, getting the good kills onto Terram and Dazer to allow the teams to continue to win those fights. At the very end there, Zone's 3 people by himself, gets 2, almost kills Angry as well to allow them to end the game. And
we're going to also mention 17,000 healing, by the way, out of this Yamoja. I mean, that's essentially a full round of damage out of one of the damage dealers onto the side of Snake Pit. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, the picks and bans for game number 2 will begin. Welcome back to game number 2 here on the European Smite Challengers Circuit. J-Mac and Alpha still here with Donkey Hoof versus Snake Pit. And Donkey Hoof, with a really strong performance in game number 1, take the W over Snake Pit. It looked dire for them at the start of the game. They'd gotten a couple of kills, It's looking good. And then all of a sudden you see 9 turnaround kills on this set. And you're kind of thinking, oh man, it's over. But then all of a sudden, just on its head, one little turnaround, and Donkey Hoof bring out the win.
Yeah, it was looking okay for them, despite the fact that they weren't getting nearly as much farm, nearly as much experience at the side of the Snake Pit, but they come up with the victory, and it doesn't matter how you grind them out, as long as you get the W's, that's all that matters, and you never know, they could look to close the set out 2-0. We'll have to find out if they can with this next set of picks and bans.
I mean, this would be by far, and still so far, this has been the best performance we've seen on Donkey Hoof, and the consistency of their improvement through the split has what's led them to this point. Week 1, we said it was a hard struggle for them, even especially because they were going up against the Poppies in week number 1, arguably the number 1/number 2 seed of the European SMITE Challenger circuit. Coming up from SOC where the competition's not nearly there, they kind of got a wake-up call. But ever since then, they have been on the rise, and getting the first game off of Snake Pit was something I didn't expect.
Yeah, something, though, that we should have expected was the Carly ban. We were talking about it maybe being taken away, and that's going to be ban number 1. All runs still going to be taken away from them. Do we see the emoji here taken away?
I've got to see the emoji taken away. Yakin is a monster on this god, and he showed it off last game. Beautiful Riptides, beautiful uses of that River's Rebuke. With Cthulhu banned here, this could open up for Snake Pit to take Emoja. If it doesn't get banned here, and I'm Snake Pit, I'm taking this god away from Yakin. No questions asked.
Donkey Hoof are going to like to ban it themselves, though.
Good call.
I do like that call, because in the previous game, the Cthulhu was open, which meant that they knew that Snake Pit were going to take that pick for themselves, which left the Emoji open available for Yakin. But now with the Cthulhu off the table, what do they like to ban? Do they take the Emoji over the Freya? They're uncertain of it, and they don't want to face the Emoji. They'd much rather face this Freya. Freya, Ring of Hecate has fallen off a tiny bit. It's still super strong, don't get me wrong, but Freya's early game, not as strong as it used to be. There are counters to it. There are ways you can beat it, and one of the ways to beat it would be just straight up killing her with the Hebo and Sobek combo. Yeah,
I mean, the quickest way to deal with the Freya is to make sure she doesn't have a chance to fight back, and Habwa is one of the perfect gods of doing that with his late game 3 ultimates, essentially. And then you've also got the Water Scroll to throw it on top. And Sobek, another god who's great at locking down a god like this. Freya doesn't have an escape aside from the ultimate just taking her into the sky for a little bit, but it's not like she could fly over a wall or jump, however many meters away from somebody. It's, I'm just up in the sky from where I was. Robin and Fafnir for the next gods to lock in. I like the Fafnir to pair up here with the Freya.
That's a very early Raven. I'm taken a bit aback by that. I mean, are they going to ban Raven in the second banning phase? I don't think so. And if I'm facing up against worse Turtle, the gods are banning a Thor and Hombats rather than this Raven. But Jingwei was something I was going to mention to go up against the Freya. That's something that was banned in the last game. It has been picked up here by Donkey Hoof. Good counter to the Freya, one of the safest hunters, and probably the safest hunter to go up against this mage with, because you can just dash out of the banish outside of her range. But Ola and the Neath taking away 2 mid lane hunters that would fit in very well with the Snake Pit composition. Leaves with very little to go on with sort of a physical damage hunter in the mid lane.
Neath a little bit strange of a ban, but still warranted. When you have a Habwa, you don't want anything to be able to set up this Habwa, especially from anywhere on the map, I should say, when it comes down to it. So it'll be a Merlin locked in place for Donkey Hoof. Take that one away from Angry to make sure that he has to go on to something a little bit further back. But he's got a lot of gods still available to him. I know Raijin is a god he likes to fall back onto as well. Achilles going to be locked in to go over into the solo lane with this Robin being picked up, like you said, very early. But one thing I really love out of this ban from Snake Pit is that Amaterasu ban.
Oh, yeah, Amaterasu did have a quiet game on this god did Bevy monster, but it also is something that's quite strong just overall. Don't let this god through if you have the opportunity to take it away from the enemy team. If you have the opportunity to take it yourself, like instead of this Raven, then, go for it. But the tier also taken away 2 decent counters to this Achilles in the lane. Leaves open Osiris as a pick here for Donkey Hoof. Not a huge amount of CC coming out here for this Donkey Hoof team. It looks like an early game pressure composition, looking for those picks. Just try and hope that their 2 mages can snowball these fights.
Well, as we get ready to go into game number 2, the Chiron, we didn't even mention it. going to be going over to Angry into the mid lane. So instead of going to one of his usual default mages, we're seeing the Horseman come on out here. We don't see Chiron too often. We might not be seeing Yakin for much longer. He's forced to charge prey level 1 just to get out.
Forced to get the charge prey at level 1. That's going to really affect the clear here, and it could open the door for Spudio and Dazer to look even more aggressive. I mean, yes, that's going to be, you know, Dazer probably getting plucked at some point if they do look for the fight, but the wave clear coming out from the Sobek isn't just not there until level 2.
It is going to hurt their pressure in the lane, but at the same time, you know, getting plucked level 1 isn't the worst if you can get some kind of setup for it. It could allow him to do the spirit minion play like we saw last game, where he can charge prey really quickly, get that spirit minion, and then just be ready for the clear out of Jingwei. But Jingwei not the best of clearing gods. I mean, you kind of have the double-edged sword with that against the Freya as well.
Yeah, and I do think, though, that getting that spirit minion early on here for Yokin is what they sort of need to do. But I don't think it's going to be what's happening here, as very aggressive is Raiden's positioning here. Yokin eating a lot of damage. I think it helps the fact that he is up against that Freya, like you said. Doesn't have the particularly best of times in the early game with clear. But they do have the pressure here, simply because Dazer is hitting all the hammers.
Yeah, he hit level... He hit level 2, though. He had that spirit minion, so that's a lot of potential pressure for Dazer. He can go for that long-range leap with the disarm onto it, or he can go for that attack speed boost onto Spudio if he so wishes, in order to get that level 2 pressure. Now, Spudio's hit level 2, has access to either the Banish or the Irradiate. He wants to go for that extra bit of damage instead, but Horse Turtle into the mid lane will just help Angry clear out so he can go and pick up his red buff to make sure to get that extra little bit of clear that's necessary for Angry, as Chiron doesn't really best of early clear. A little late on the hammer there from Dazer, and been able to make it in time. Beads out of Spudio.
Yeah, it just doesn't really... Well, Beads out of Spudio because he was getting plucked. He's there by himself, getting a tiny bit of experience. We know that Yokin does have that pluck because he got a level 1, but in the mid lane, some trouble coming out there as both junglers take the fall. Preds mid laner for jungler. Preds almost takes the fall as well for the jungle trade. But the first blood goes the way of... I think it was Donkey who got the first blood there.
Oh. With that one, making it a 1 kill for the mid laner versus the jungler. I'm not really favoring having a Hubwa, especially if it is the one who got the first blood. Fred's managed to get... It's not, yeah, I was just thinking it may have been Snake Pit who picked that one, but even regardless, getting a kill on the Hubwa this early is not what you want in Snake Pit, because he's a guy that takes a little bit to start ramping up, but once he ramps up, I mean, it is full... 5th gear, we're going.
One of the big things that we did see happen in one of the games last week, and this is probably why the Raven was picked up again, and it was the exact same matchup, Raven versus the Hebo, and the Hebo got absolutely shut out by the Raven. Just the best thing to do against these gods that struggle in the early game, like the Hebo can do, like the Darchi sometimes does, the Kali from time to time. It's just invade on them as much as possible, like the Alquang as well. Get the invades going as soon as possible. And who's one of the best gods of bullying and brawling in the early game? It's the Raven.
I think we saw this last week from, I want to say it was, no, it wasn't Marcus. Who was it that ran this exact same pickup against, I think it was against Preds, who had picked up the Hubwa, and then just, it was a Raven immediately to follow it up, and it just sat on Preds the entire time, didn't allow him to get anything off for it. Unable to get that lockdown is Yakin with that pluck. Persistent Gust out of Raiden, but a good disarm out of Day, so make sure he can't continue too much further as the Hunters continue to duel out here in the duo.
I believe it was when they were in their matchup against Smiley Face in that last week then. If it was going to be the boys on Donkey Hoof Preds getting sort of sat on by the Raven. It could be a bit of deja vu here. Back to base goes Yokin just to heal up a bit. 2 stacks behind on the Guardian's Blessing. But don't forget, Fafnir gains some extra protections for extra gold that he does have in his pocket. So the longer he is out of base, the tankier it does become, which means that he can start to play a bit more aggressive the longer this early game goes on.
Thinking onto one last time, I think it was Fails from Cold Llamas who picked it up onto him. But regardless onto that, we saw the same matchup last week. It didn't work out so well for Preds just because it was from level 2. Robin in the jungle of Habwa. Preds was unable to get any kind of farm for almost the entirety of the game. He was put down 2-3 levels, but he's staying even this time, which is what you need as a Habwa against a Robin. Your early is not so great. Robin's is really good. So if you can even keep up within a half to 1 level of him, you're doing fine.
Has that blink available to him? Does Preds has that first blood bounty? Well, has a first blood return, sorry, onto him as well. Power Boots online, which means he does have a tiny bit of lifesteal, but he's going to get it for the raw power that it brings. 75 power on these purple boots. And that's going to provide him with some insane damage boosts in this early game from his passive. Don't forget, for every single bit of his passive that's activated, he gets a tiny bit more magical power. And he has 3 chunks of that passive to keep on stacking on top of it.
And you throw any amount of cooldown into it, and you're getting water hands up every 2.5 seconds to guarantee you can keep that passive stacked up. You can see it's already hitting for almost 200 against the tank early on. He's going to get hit by the water spout to deal a little bit more poke to him. But one thing we didn't really talk about too much into is how far Bevy Monster had to kind of dig down into the god pool. Osiris is not a god that we see too often.
No, ever since the changes to Glad Shield more specifically, and not as often you do see this, but Berserker Shield back in the mid-season, Osiris has fallen down the pecking order a lot. No longer has the ability to poke and trade for as freely as he used to. And the gods that really did suffer were the ones that wanted to brawl as often as possible, because they just healed off you with those healing procs and didn't really care about the minions. But now they have to really keep an eye on their health. They have to take time to get close to you and poke you out. And it's just not been, the best of transitions so far into this mid-season. Especially are forced to use the Valkyrie's Discretion just because of the blink from Yokin.
Well, blink in and an ult out of Worst Turtle, but Preds got back to the base at the last possible frame in order to avoid that ultimate. So 2 big cooldowns burned for Worst Turtle for nothing.
If he did manage to hit that Mystic Rush, then it would have been almost curtains for Preds. Because Stazo was around the corner as well, would most likely have transformed into that Draconic Transformation. And Preds would have been forced to ult without any beats, no way of stopping the CC chain coming out from Dazer. It would have been another death coming out here for the side of Hoof.
Angry on the Chiron, this time going up against a Merlin. Typically, we see him with Merlin in his hands, but this time had to give it up, so Gunter will be piling in. I can't recall any time that we've really seen Angry on a Hunter. We usually see him on the mage, so it's strange to see him pick up this god, but not strange to see the god in general in this mid lane.
No, but the reason that he has picked up this Hunter is, of course, the fact that they've got the Freya in that ADC position. Once you do have the Freya, you tend to go for something a bit more physical, DPS-wise, in the mid lane. Hunters fit that build perfectly. Give you the tower push, give you the objective push that you would be missing if you kept the Freya as your only range basic attack-based god. And what's more, the Chiron with that sort of an ability-based build that he's going to be going for, I really do like the pickup.
Well, Dazer again trying to take a buff away. He's going to be spotted out here. But Juke's out of the way of Jockin. They didn't get hit by that pluck, but Preds is waiting right around the corner and try and steal this red buff away. A double whoop into the Draconic Transformation out of Dazer. 1 big root out of Worst Turtle. Will it manage to turn around a kill for the side of Snake Pit, and they get their red buff to boot. Angry dashing aggressively onto Gunter, but not going to find anything more of it just because of a great Eclipse and the pull back in to make sure that he doesn't continue any further. Red buff, I believe it was secured there. I'm not sure if Angry's going to go back and pick it up himself in the moment, but big kill out of Snake Pit.
Yeah, they get a kill onto Preds, and he's 2 levels down already onto Worst Turtle. It's something that happened again in the previous game, was the 2 levels being down. Worst Turtle just seems to have the number on Preds in terms of the farming in the jungle, and it's not been good for him in this matchup yet again. Yokin got caught out there. Dazer with yet another beautifully aggressive play.
Preds trying to make something aggressive here with Bevy, but they're going to be caught into the middle of 3. Big ultimate out of Preds. Not going to be enough to get the kill on Angry because he got that ultimate off in time to survive through, but he will eventually fall to the last bit of damage, but Tarum managed to pick up one of his own.
Wait, who's
2-for-2 trade because Raiden has made the rotation all the way over to pick up Dazer.
one of the big advantages of having that Jingwei on your team. You can rotate from these fights in your own jungle very easily. But it was so close for Angry getting that revive off. The team waited as long as they could, got as much damage onto Preds as possible. That last shot from that ultimate for the Chiron just barely didn't kill Preds. I think he lived on about 3 health or something ridiculously close to that. And that's what just meant Angry Day fell there for the second kill for Preds. Preds did eventually fall once again, but it does get a trade for it. It means it's not all bad coming out for the Hebo.
And Spudio recognizing he doesn't have any rotational prowess into this match, so he stays in lane and gets a little bit of free farm for himself. Just a little off the mark on that whoop onto Raiden, so he won't be able to get that aggressive play to try and force that agility out. Instead, he'll go back towards his purple buff. But not without any contest here, as Yakin and Raiden are trying to push aggressively into him. And he will manage to get the buff for himself, and Dazer here just to play as a little bit of a defense for them.
Well, Snake Pit have themselves the early game here, just shy of 1,000 gold in the lead. 1 kill in the advantage golem as well, as just around about the 1,000 experience mark. So all good for them so far, but they had themselves a bigger lead in the last game, and we all know how that one went, so they're going to have to be playing a bit more aggressively with this lead, I would say. Just try and take the objectives where they can take them more often than not. Oh, coming out from Angry. Does he hit all 3? He doesn't hit the 3rd one. The masterful shot on cooldown as well, just unable to get the kill onto Prez. But that's going to force him to play a bit further back for the next few seconds.
He's going to be forced back, and look at this, a 2-level deficit in the jungle. That 1 kill that Worst Turtle managed to get, and might be looking for another one here. He's going to use the overhead kick to immune 1 shot, and Worst Turtle will find the kill onto Gunter. Yakin stunned, thrown back with the giddy up out of Angry, and right into his hands. That'll be another kill. Spudio rotating over. They might have to stop Raiden from getting in here. Big Whoop will force out the agility, and that should be enough to set up for Gold Fury.
I like what Spudio's doing here. He realizes he's not necessary for the team to take this Gold Fury because they got Angry as their damage, as their objective DPS, sorry. So just stays and forces Raiden to stay back, and that was the only objective steal potential that they had. Preds wasn't going to be blinking in and using his Crushing Wave because it was still on cooldown. They forced that earlier thanks to the Constellation ultimate coming out from Angry. Looking aggressive again, Dazer blinks in, forces the beads on the Jingwei. This is sort of what we expected from the Snake Pit in the game 1 as well. It's just this constant aggression, this constant pressure, forcing Donkey into bad situations all across the map.
And we're kind of seeing a little bit of as to why this Robin is constantly picked up against the Hobble. I mean, Worst Turtle is not quite on the same level of repetition that we saw last week out of Fails, but still showing why Robin excels so well. And so again, against the Hobble, Spudio and Dazer in a little bit of danger. Dazer gets plucked back, blink in from the Hobwall will force out the Valkyrie's discretion out of Spudio. Into Lurking the Waters goes Yakin. Dazer with no mana and no way of getting out as he gets plucked back, but Spudio manages to turn around the kill onto Yakin for staying under the tower for too long. One Whoop is going to get the airstrike out, but now Angry is rotated over, and that's going to get the flicker out of Gunter.
They didn't even manage to get the kill onto Dazer. It's got to be annoying if you're a fan of the Donkey Youth, or even if you're playing on the side of Donkey Youth. You commit all of that to just this 1 kill, and you lose your support for it and don't even get the kill onto the enemy support. That is rough, but some of those bad breaks, you just got to take them on the chin and pick yourselves back up. Donkey Youth find themselves down here in game number 2. What are they made of? Can they put themselves back up onto level terms, and can they look to close this set out in the 2 games? You have to try and find something here, and it might be coming out from the solo lane at this rate.
A lot of damage onto Gunner in the mid lane, but no beads means he doesn't have that defense to get out. Man, just manages to get out of the CC and flickers right back into the tower, but not before he lost half of his health. Angry going to help to clear out that mid camp just to give himself a little bit of extra farm, hitting level 14 now on this Chiron. And I mean, a little bit of the difference onto why Dazer dies there compared to anything else is the number of stacks he had on that Gauntlet of Thieves. Just over 33 stacks I think I saw on him during that dive. That's a lot of extra protections he has compared to some other supports even at this stage. I mean, you look on the flip side, and Yakin's only got 8 stacks.
Yeah, and what's more, Dazer likes to go in for the tank boots. Yakin pretty wishes he had something in the way of tank right now, because he gets blown up as if he had nothing. Well, Preds almost fell in the same fate as well. Gunter taking a lot of damage. Raiden making his rotation back in from base. but wishes he was back there because he's back down to half health immediately, and it's just he's going to return there. He misses home.
Dazer did still have the Draconic transformation just in case he needed to get out. He doesn't end up needing it in this instance, so he's able to get back safely as they get a nice cleanup kill for the Snake Pit. Results up to 8 and 3 so far, 4,000 and add another 500 gold here soon if they can get that tower. Another wave of minions comes through, Pred stuck under the tower, and Angry not able to find that last basic, so instead they'll take the tier 1 as their constellation prize for the Snake Pit, adding another 500 gold to their pockets. Raiden trying to get the kill on the Spudio, but Spudio just gonna make it out.
Raiden recognizing the fact that Spudio's cooldowns are about to come back up and didn't want to take the trade, given that he knew he was going to lose it. Ring of Akate and Demonic Grip online for Spudio. Raiden only has Devour's Gauntlets and the Atalanta's Bow. Not really going to be able to win that trade there.
Not going to be able to get those Oracle Harpies as Dazer. He was just off the timing with that hammer. Maybe a little early, maybe a little late. So he's not able to get it. Raiden instead, they'll take the Alpha Harpy onto this left-hand side. So Donkey Hoof getting the farm where they can to try and maintain this gold deficit and keep it a little bit closer to the even bar. But they're still down about 3,500 gold.
That was a good invade though by Raiden. Forces Spudio back to base a bit earlier than he would have liked. Gets himself the purple buff, gets himself the Alpha Harpy. Angry and Spudio aren't too happy about that, looking to put their invade themselves and return the favor. They don't get the Alpha Harpy, but they do get a purple buff for Spudio, meaning the ADC trade is still back at even.
Still looking for more invades, or looking for aggression here. That's the flicker out of Gunter. We're sort of taking a ton of pokes. And Mr. Rushing down, overhead kick, and the beat juice to try and get away. But Prince still has that crushing wave. And that'll be a turnaround kill onto Worst Turtle for his over-aggression. Bevy Monster in the back onto Angry. Thorns are down, but he is losing a lot of health to the carry and to Terram. Into the sky is Spudio with the Valkyrie's discretion, but not able to find anything onto the back end of it. Two-man whoop out of Spudio, but nothing further beyond there. Just a one kill for Donkey Hoof.
And it's on Worst Turtle as the one who engaged that entire fight. Dazer could be the next one dead here. Gets plugged back into danger, but Terrence, the one who picks up Yokin, dies for getting the proc double kill coming out for the solo laner. I did mention that solo lane may be where Donkey Hoof were going to be looking, but the Snake Pit have an ace up their sleeve, and that ace is Terrorim on this Achilles.
Level 17 at this stage. It's a really difficult Achilles deal. We haven't really talked about solo lane much because there hadn't been anything going on with the solo laners. They've just been farming this whole time, but as soon as they make a rotation, Terram comes up big with it. Double kill onto the Achilles, now 3-0.
Yeah, you can see a slightly different build path from both solo laners. Donkey Hoof's Bevy Monster going into something a bit more defensive, a bit more conservative with the Breastplate of Valor and Stone of Gaia. Wants to just stay in the front line for as long as possible. Whilst Terram, he doesn't care about front line. He doesn't care about your ADCs doing damage because he wants to kill them quickly. Got it for the Berserker Shield. Bit of an odd choice given he's not really an auto attack based god, but that physical penetration is one of the key reasons why he does look to take this item up, as well as the passive giving him 20 extra physical power when below 40% health. That's going to add to the amount of power that he's built in these other bruiser items.
Not just that, Stone of Gaia on the side for Dazer finished up, so that's a lot of extra health, and when you look at what he's going up against, Yakin and Preds being the two primary he's going to be going towards, get that knock up through, and that Stone of Gaia passive is going to proc, giving him a lot of extra health back over the time. You see a little bit of anti-heal built on the side via Gunter with that Divine Ruin, but not quite enough, in my opinion, for it. As this game goes later, you're dealing with a Freya. I need anti-heal out of this.
I need anti-heal, I need anti-attack speed, I need a way to delete Freya from the game files completely, I need a way to find every single Freya player out there and delete them from ever playing the game against me. There's a lot of things I want to be able to do to Freya at this stage.
Killing her is the biggest one, as you don't want anything to come about for any further from this Freya. I mean, once she hits level 20, has her full item slot, you can kiss anybody on the map goodbye. Tanks, whatever. Squishies, yeah, they never stood a chance. Objectives like a Fire Giant and a Gold Fury, please. The only thing that might stop a Freya would be a tier 1 or a tier 2 tower, maybe a Phoenix, but I mean, they are shredding through this Fire Giant like paper. Gunner trying to get the way through, and it does, man. Steal it with the Ice Bolt. Bevy getting dove on by Worst Turtle. The shots out of the Centaurus from Angry are good on the gunner. That's going to get his beads. But one more basic from Tarum. They get 2 kills
look at the left-hand
off
side
of
as
it.
well.
They lose the Fire Giant. Prez gets the blink, but doesn't manage to get the shot
They're gonna get
after
Phoenix here.
Spudio. That was 2 basics that took down his health bar, followed by the Valkyrie's Discretion. Raiden trying to hold for the last offensive onto it. They get 1, but Spudio's here immediately after. Dazer with the hammer in right after, and a double kill onto the carry. You stole the Fire Giant, Donkey Hoof, but at what cost?
Oh, that was such a good steal there for Donkey of great awareness to go back in and just try and get it. Yes, they were on a sentry ward, but to recognize when they could go in and take this objective from right underneath the snake pit was such a good play. They also almost get this Phoenix on the right-hand side, but just 1 or 2 more basic attacks is all that's needed. Here you see exactly how the steal happens. Bevy wants to pulling the tanks away, and Gunter just 1 frostbolt later takes away the objective. You may have a Chiron and a Freya to help shred these objectives, but what you don't have is Mage Burst, and that's one of the big weaknesses of these drafts.
I mean, they just left the door wide open for Gunter to come in and take that. Now, as we said, granted, they don't get anything on return from it. All they've done is say, okay, Snake Pit, no Fire Giant for you. But Snake Pit don't really care about that one. They lost the tower, 2 on that left-hand side for it. They didn't manage to get the Phoenix. If they got the Phoenix, worthwhile trade all day long. You stole Fire Giant. You didn't get any kills, but you got a left-hand Phoenix. Unfortunately for Donkoof, they got nothing. They come up with nothing for it.
Well, the thing they do come up with is the fact that 5 members of Snake Pit don't have the Fire Giant on their belt, and that's a huge, huge thing, because that's going to stop Snake Pit from ending this game shortly. Instead, it's going to take them a bit longer if they were looking to do that. I mean, you can still see 2 towers still remain on the side of Donkoof. Mid-Phoenix is exposed, but that one's very difficult to take if you're on the side of the attacking team, because there's so many different angles which can be hidden around from the defensive side of things, so many ambush spots there on that mid-Phoenix.
Tarum level 20 now on the Achilles. Worst Turtle getting close to that level 20 mark and close to full build for both of them. Daze will jump into the middle of the tower because, well, he's a Fafnir. He doesn't care about that. It's going to be a tier 2 tower trade. But unfortunately for them, they're all on the wrong side of the map to try and defend against a left side Phoenix. Tarum managed to get in and stops Raiden. That's a huge target for him to keep out. Yakin is getting chunked down by Spudio, taking a little under half of his health from the auto attacks. But unfortunately, 4 of them managed to make it back. And so with a 4-on-4, they just don't quite have the trade out.
Just one person got affected by the curse there from Yokin, and that was Dazer, who managed to have a underhand tactics leap away. Phoenix on the left does still stand, so good defensive stop there for Donkey, but Snake Pit with their 10,000 experience, and, well, going to jump up to 11,000, 8,500 gold. I'm going to turn back ahead, go back to base, spend up the amount of gold that they have. I'll look to try again in just a second.
A much more significant lead this time for Snake Pit compared to game number 1. Donkey Hoof kept it pretty even down to about 1,500 to 3,000 gold lead in the last game. And then once they got their lead, jumped that up to 8, 9, 10,000. But Snake Pit finally with their massive lead has put Donkey Hoof on the back foot for themselves. Sitting only 5 kills so far. And right now, Preds, again, on this hobble, hasn't been able to quite get out there just yet. He's got 3 kills to his name. But he's also had 4 deaths. Yakin has had 6 of his own just because he's been caught out so many times.
It's not been a game to remember from Yakin after the performance he had in the previous one especially. But a bit quiet as well from Preds, a bit quiet as well from Gunter. Raiden's had some good, decent play on the street way, though. He's been one of the shining lights from this particular Bevy monster.
Wow.
He's taken way too much damage there. He has a tank build, but he's not a tank.
When there's a Freya against you, is anybody a tank?
No, actually, you're right. You're very right.
Worst Turtle going to get hit by the tail whip out of Yakin. That'll proc his on Kile. Instead, looking through it, it will be the Hasten Ring, so 3rd ring online for Spudio, and a Typhon's Fang. And again, I'm asking the question of where is the rest of the anti-heal to deal with Spudio. You've got the 1 Divine Ruin out of Gunter, probably the best god in the game to apply a Divine Ruin with how easily he can throw his abilities out, but unfortunately, there's really no one who can get a Brawler's Beat Stick for them. You're not going to ask for one out of a Jingwei, and you're not going to tell Bevy to, get rid of your defenses that you desperately need for it. So what's the answer they can call for here is Preds gets Blink Hammer, and that forces the beats out, and the big Centaurus shots out of Angry will get the first kill of the fight. Bevy Monster falls to Spuddy onto the back. They get worse Turtle, but they've lost 2 in return for it. Fire Giant is back up, and immediately Snake Pit turned tail towards it.
Yeah, just another good play coming out from the Snake, but they punish the Hebo once again. Now 3 and 5 there for Pred. Every monster also full suit. Let's go back to your answer about Azael. I think Pred able to get himself a Toxic Blade or go into crit and get himself a Shadow Steel Shuriken. You definitely do need to get yourself either a Contagion or a Pestilence on one of your tanks, because, like I said, they've just been running through them with the amount of sustain they have on the side of Snake Pit.
Unfortunately, Raiden doesn't look like he wants to go into any kind of crit. Silver Branch into a kin size means he's going for this attack speed pen build. If that's the case, Toxic Blade is all the more worthwhile for it. It's way more attack than you're going to need to further stack up that Silver Branch. But instead, he's going into a Tower Shield? Is this a Berserkers?
I mean, it kind of has to be a Berserkers. Do you go into a Void Shield at this point? I mean, at that point, you're just going up against Dazer and Spudio. They'll be able to run through you still. It does give your team 50% penetration, but it's only really affecting you and Bevy Monster if you're going to go for that. But it is going to be the Berserker Shield. I'm not too sold on this item, really, for the Jingwei. Most of the damage they're taking so far has been Spudio and the Fafnir just destroying them together.
Yeah, this magical damage combo out of the duo lane has really been putting in the work for Snake Pit. Tarum sitting at the top of the damage charts, but as we all know, solo lane is fake damage. It doesn't really count. Spudio sitting 15,000 out of a Freya. By the way, that's a Freya who basically is just single target damage more than anything else. And you can see just why you need to stop Freya before it gets out of control. 5-0 and 4 on Spudio. As they're looking at this left side Phoenix, the defense side of Donkey Hoof is here. They got one into the mid. Bevy Monster gets whooped up and lost already half of his health to just a little bit of damage, but they take so much more in return. Worst Turtle gets a solo kill on the Preds at the mid Phoenix?
Yeah, that happens. I mean, if you have a look at Worst Turtle's build, you see exactly why it happens. The Ankile silence was procced there. Let's mention also his ultimate was used when the Arendite was procced, so he's taking some extra damage. Worst Turtle absolutely wins that fight hand over fist.
Looking for another engagement. The minion wave pushes through. Now they don't have their defense in the jungle. It makes it a 5v4. Dazer immediately into the back. Draconic transformation on top of Raiden and Bevy, but he's getting chunked down to half. Meanwhile, Tarum picks up one. Bevy Monster falls very shortly after to the last bit of damage out of Dazer. Blinking from Yakin gets the plug on a Tarum. They get one kill, but it's a 2 versus 3. Yakin gets the curse, but around the backside comes Worst Turtle. The deicide for Snake Pit. And game number 2 goes their way in just under 28 minutes.
And what a turnaround here for the Snake Pit. Look, they're pretty shaky for them after the first game, but this time around, no mistakes were made. They had the lead, they took the lead early on, and they ran with it. But what's more, this time around, Spudio 6-0 and 7 on the Freya. There's a reason why it was banned in the first game. There's a reason why loads of players don't like playing against it at all. And that was clearly on display there. Just so much damage come out from the basic attacks.
Yeah, they couldn't stop this Freya from getting to that point. It's kind of one of those hard things. Do you devote all of your time and attention to this duo lane to slow down the pace of Freya? Or do you just kind of say, well, it's a Freya. As long as she gets a few items online, do we just let it go? In this case, they didn't do either, and they kind of just let Freya walk all over them.
And it didn't help by the fact that Worst Turtle was absolutely insane yet again, but this time the team actually is able to make it count. Played a bit more better, played a bit more cohesively this time, did the Snake bits, and I don't know, it just felt like Donkey Hoof were a bit more split up, a bit less on the same page as they were in the first game of this set. But they do need to recoup here. They still have the opportunity to close this one out 2-1. And it's an opportunity they're not going to get again because they're going into relegations. This is the end of the split for them. They have to try again next split if they want it.
And another thing they're going to have to try and deal with is Tarum on this Achilles, who 5-1-7 onto the solo laner. We didn't see him a whole lot during the game, but at the end, when he pulled up into those team fights, he got the double kill early on over by the red buff. And then in the back end of that fight, just dove into the back line of the Phoenix and said, all right, that's one carry down. Who's next? All right, just flip them back for another opportunity onto it. Top of the damage charts is Spudio, managed to get 20,000 just teeping out over Tarum at the very end of that fight, as Freya's do so. I mean, he had okay, so hold on. He had 15,000 going into that last fight. He got 5,000 player damage in that one team fight.
Yep.
Freya, ban her in all of your games if you have the opportunity to do so. But once again, Snake Pit, going into game number 3, you can't, even off this great victory from them, you can't let Yakin get that Umoja back. You got to take it for yourself or ban it away from him, because I feel that was a huge factor for them in this second game.
Yeah, and it's going to have to be a bit more difficult for them, because they're not going to have a choice whether they have first pick or second pick. That's going to go the way of the boys on Donkey Hoof. They're going to have choice, and honestly, I think they might choose first pick on this side.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Donkey Hoof in this case, I am going to be looking for first pick, just because I want to force them to make that ban or give us that pick over. But we're going to take it to a quick break. When we come back, game number 3 of the set. This best of 3 will come to its definitive conclusion after this break. Game number 3 in this best of 3 matchup. Do or die here for these two teams. Donkey Hoof struggling in game number 2 against the Snake Pit, but they got another opportunity here. For me, honestly, AJ, the biggest factor I'm looking at is what are they going to put Yakin on for this team? Because I feel in game number 1, he was not the sole reason that they had a huge game, but definitely one of the leading factors to their performance in game 1.
He also had the biggest change in performance between the two games, from game number 1 being the standout player to game number 2 being 0-7 at the end, 0-6, something 0 and quite high. So it like you said, does depend. What god do they give Yokin? Do they give him a comfortable matchup? Does he get off to a good start on the god? Do they give him something with good zone potential? I don't know. We'll have to find out as we get into the picks and bans.
Picks and bans for game number 3 are here. Donkey Hoof elect for first pick. So the first time for the set that they get to decide their position. What do? They say, no more Freya. Freya, gone. I'm tired of it. We're not dealing with it anymore.
I mean, they could have elected to probably take that for themselves, but they may be looking for a certain god that begins with Y in the support role. Now, which god would that be? I don't know. Which god would they be looking for first pick?
Ymir?
Yes. Well, it has to be that one if they're looking for a support beginning with Y, because Umoja has been taken out of the game by the Snake Pit. Very astute of them to just ban that one away. But so far, Persephone and Morrigan and Nemesis, surprisingly, all three of them making through. One of Morrigan and Persephone is getting through, at the very least. I'm
a little terrified about it. In my opinion, I'm getting rid of Morrigan, but instead, they get rid of the Persephone on the side of Snake Pit. And if that's not an insta-lock on Morrigan, if I've ever seen one, and Donkey Hoof do elect to take it. So one of the first times this phase that we're seeing this goddess get through.
I mean, the reason you like to put the Morrigan through rather than the Persephone is the fact that the Morrigan does struggle in the early game a fair bit more. It does have its more particular counters. For example, if you would take something aggressively positioned in the early game, something like Poseidon, something like a Merlin, something like an Agni even, and then in the jungle take something that just dives and dives and dives, like a Camazotz, or maybe even a Hebo. I don't know if the Hebo is going to work out particularly well. The Camazotz does have that dot effect and the ability to see, like the Heimdall does. But if you combine those two in the mid lane, you're able to shut down the Morrigan in the early game.
And out of left field, the Heimdall picked up for Snake Pit. We haven't really seen him teased at by either of these two teams this entire set. No picks of it, no bans of it. And then out of nowhere, Snake Pit just say, well, second pick. Let's just grab Heimdall.
And that's going to be met with the return of Oleron in the ADC position. Erlang Shen going to be the jungler of choice here for Donkey Hoof. Not often that you see him picked up, and I honestly don't really like it into the matchup of Heimdall and Hebo. Erlang Shen traditionally does not do well against slows whatsoever. And what do Hebo and Heimdall have in common? They have big slows. They have the ability to just disrupt Erlang Shen quite easily. He has to get Blink to be effective in the early game, which means that he's very susceptible to Heimdall's combo.
And susceptible to a lot of damage as well. As you blink onto a hub one, what's the first thing that's going to happen? You're going to get hit by the water hands, you're going to get thrown into the air, and then Crushing Wave to follow up right on the back end of that. Amaterasu to round out the draft for Snake Pit in the first phase, and their first bans are going to be the Kali and Tyr. Meanwhile, Donkey Hoof are going to take the Merlin away from Angry yet again.
So the Kali ban means that they don't think Erlang Shen's 100% locked into the jungle, but honestly, if you're picking Erlang Shen solo right now, you're basically asking to lose the lane. He's not really that strong in the early game, now that, especially with the fact that Berserker Shield is gone, and his passive just lends himself to being a better jungler than it does into a solo laner. But Merlin and Kronos taken away here by Donkey Hoof. They still need a bit more magical damage in that mid lane, so good call to take away the Merlin and the Kronos, but they're electing to ignore my words and make me look like an idiot as they take Hu Yi to have two physical damage laners.
Now, if I'm Donkey Hoof here, I'm probably taking Fafnir away because I don't want to have a Fafnir on the side of Snake Pit with those, specifically the middle three gods that they have selected there with Heimdall, Hu Yi, and Amma. You can't give a Fafnir over to that, especially after the performance that they had on in last game.
I mean, I'm also looking at my draft, and I'm thinking of I'm just going to stop there and look confused because
support?
I was 1,000% convinced that the Morrigan was going to be mid lane, all around ADC.
Morrigan jungle?
Yeah, this...
Okay, so... Okay. Well, it doesn't even matter what Snake Pit pick at this point. Let's try and dissect this draft before we actually get into the game. See how good. I'll make my guess.
Okay, you have your guess. Mine.
Okay, I'm going to go Morrigan jungle, Oleron mid, Uller ADC, Vamana solo, Erlang support.
Okay. I'm going to go Olrun ADC, Ullum mid, Vamana jungle, Erlang Shen support, Morrigan solo.
Well, nothing left but to see where they land out into the game. Game number 3 kicks off, and J-Mac is right, 100%.
Can I quit
High
now?
five.
Does it mean I have to quit because as a chair 2 I got it wrong and the chair 1 got it right? Does that mean I lose all my brownie points, the ones that you sent to the post?
You know what? We're just gonna revoke one of the brownie points we sent to you. It's okay. No worries. We're just gonna revoke the one. You still got 4 more on the way. Don't worry about that. But on to the flip side for it is gonna be Heimdall in the mid lane on Angry. So once again, going for another Hunter mid as we kind of expected. I don't think either Hoyi or Heimdall were gonna go into the jungle anytime soon to put Hubble on mid. So Worst Turtle now taking his shot with the magical jungle.
And I think Worst Turtle's going to have a bit of a better time of it in this game, considering he's not going up against someone as ridiculously aggressive as the Raven. I mean, Preds is elected to take the Morrigan into the jungle. It's not a traditional jungle god. It's not one that, has a particularly great time with clear in the jungle. Doesn't have the short ability cooldown that the Hebo has, but is aided by the passive. Raven's been furiously trying to get Spirit Creep. Wasn't able to for the longest time. Able to after this one creep dies. Does indeed. There should be the aggression out here from Donkey.
Well, they're gonna manage to get one. Groggy Strike just onto Yakin. It's a fairly aggressive lane on both ends of it. They have the Kumakarn Hoyi for a quick, easy setup. They also have the long-range pin or even the axe toss out of range to try and get a pick onto Spudio or Dazer. But it's going to be a blink in, the knock with the pin. Another axe stun onto Dazer instead. So had to change their targets mid-fight onto it. And that's the power that this dual lane out of Donkey Hoof has.
Yeah, the Erlang Shen support is there to get aggression early, get pressure early, and that's exactly what it's done. But it's going against Kumbhakana. Kumbhakana, one of the more annoying, probably the most annoying support to be facing if you're part of the dual lane. It's because he just seems to be almost immortal at times, and is got some of the most unbelievable disrupt in the early game.
And unfortunately for Yakin there, he kind of experienced what happens when you miss the first bit of the knockup and you try and chase somebody in a big loop-de-loop in order to get that turtle knockup. But unfortunately for him, unable to land it, and Daisy just kind of taking a casual forward step to get away.
Yeah, it's a bit like just trying to Tokyo drift the turtle into the enemy god, but you do end up hitting the pillar at the end. Not exactly going where you want to go.
Well, Raiden going to jump away from Dazer, and Yakin's going to get a big pin. Axe toss a little late there out of Raiden to get anything, but not before Dazer's able to dash away to begin with. So, walk away from the aggression on both sides for the dual lane. Keep the minions a little bit closer to their end for Donkey Hoof. While Bevy Monster on the Vamana going toe-to-toe with Terum on the Amaterasu solo.
Yeah, this is not a match we do see often. Vamana quite overlooked for the most part these days. It makes appearances here and there, but is traditionally picked up as a soft counter to the Ola run. So to see it picked up on the same team as the Ola run, it's a bit weird, but I do like it. I think he does have a place in this meta. He's a very strong god that builds and does well with bruiser builds. It's because of his passive, giving himself some extra power for the amount of physical defense that he has.
Oh, Angry versus Gunner once again into the mid lane. Angry on the Heimdall this time around. Another hunter for himself. Last game, Chiron. This time again with the Merlin taken away, he opts for another hunter for himself. And so the dual lane pretty much dead even. This is kind of what the dual lane's going to be like, I imagine, until level 5. Once Yakin gets that 9 turns blessing to try and make a super aggressive play in the dual lane. Rotation out of Preds, though. It could be looking for a potential gank here on this left-hand side. Fred's going to go with the real quick invis, leap out of Spudio, and a dash out of Dazer. Means they back away.
Prez not able to get the success he would like to coming over to the dual lane. Just trying to build on some of the successful pressure that's Donkey have got over here. But they don't really need to build up too much to find themselves with a small lead. It's about 300, 400 gold in the lead at the 4-minute mark. Nothing too extraordinary, but something you could certainly look to say to your team with, we're doing good right now, let's hold steady with what we got going on right now, and look for something very soon to try and double on this lead.
A level 5 now from both duo laners out of Donkey Hoof. They make an aggressive path towards the red buff. Let's see that it is already down. Worst Turtle also level 5 on this hub wall. We'll spot them out. Jokin looking for an aggressive play here, trying to get a rotation in. We'll get the blink knockup onto Spudio. Spudio holding onto that dive bomb to get away from the 9 turns blessing. Gets hit by the pin. Good damage out of Raiden. Purification beads to get out of the mez from Dazer, and Dazer will make it in time for the body block. Right now, unable to make it through, but Worst Turtle is here on rotation, and Crushing Wave will be enough to drop them down. The Suns on top of Yakin. He'll get away for the short time with the turtle, but Worst Turtle waiting for that water spout to get the double kill.
Double kill for the jungle, including First Blood. It's just such a heartbreak again for Donkey. They do the right play, they get the gank onto Spudio, almost get the kill onto him. Just 1 or 2 missed basics from Raiden. The ultimate not going out well for Yakin, and it's just a turnaround play from Snake Pit is unbelievable. They find themselves back in the lead by the tune of about 200 gold, and the big target on the back of Worst Turtle.
2 kills, not just 2 kills, but first blood on the back of Worst Turtle is not a position you want to be in this early as Donkey Hoof. Hubwa takes a while to get online. When you feed him 2 kills early on, I mean, that's just going to excel his build and excel him closer and closer to that late game. Doesn't have quite a lead as far as levels goes. Pred's able to make a successful invade on that blue buff to the top side, but still giving that early gold bounty to Worst Turtle, not the best place you want to be.
No, and this is something which Pretz could only have dreamed of when he was playing on the Hebo for the 2 games which he has done so far on stream. It's not been particularly effective when he's done it, but every single time they go up against it, it seems to be, hey, this Hebo's got 17 kills and is level 20 in 3 minutes. How can we let this happen? And it looks like it's getting off to the same start here for Worst Turtle, as he's building up into the Doom Orb. Not something we traditionally see on the Hebo. What you usually see is him going into the Bancrofts, because for the most part, the Hebo is juking out loads of abilities whilst in close range, is sitting at a low health, but this Doom Orb rush is just going to be detrimental to anybody go up against it because of the amount of raw power it's got.
Something else we don't typically see almost really ever built, a mana chalice out of Worst Turtle?
That is something interesting, especially considering Doom Orb has that MP5 on it. And he has good mana sustain in the jungle, thanks to the Assassin's Blessing, returning some mana. I'm not so sold on that one at all.
I can't imagine it was a misbuy and he was trying to go for the health chalice instead, the mana chalice. Maybe he just bought it because I'm going to be spamming a lot of abilities really early on. I don't have the extra mana from the blue boots into this case. Jokin knocks him. He's got the epic uppercut. But you're going to be able to find an ultimate on top and a big ricochet to get another kill onto Yakin. But, ouch.
Yeah, lesson number 1 of playing against Hu Yi, don't stand next to the walls. Lesson number 2, don't taunt Hu Yi into you to where you're standing next against the wall, because he will then just double ricochet you for free. And, yeah, don't do what Yakin did there.
So basically what you're saying is don't fight Ho Yi on about 80% of the map.
Well, you have to position yourself carefully against the Hu Yi, is what I'm saying. Heavy Monster eats a lot of damage there, forced into the ultimate early on. Terran looks to be the target here for anything. Pred's transforming in the Terran. Heavy Monster with the kill would have been a bit more poetic justice if Pred's got the kill there with the Amaterasu transformation.
And Worst Turtle just going to go ahead and looks like he's still at least one of those mid camps away on that right-hand side. Keeps himself just slightly ahead, about a half level over Preds. And like you said, it would have been really nice for Preds to have gotten that kill to bring himself back up to at least even with Worst Turtle as far as the experience goes. Dazer pushing very aggressively in and only going to take a little bit of poke from it. He gets the mez off onto only one of them for the time. Angry going to go back to base, and he's got those Virus Gauntlets, and now the attack speed boots have been finished up with the Ninja Tab I completed.
This is exactly what I mean by Kumbhakana being one of the most annoying supports to face up against. He just walks up, mezzes you, walks away, and there's nothing you can really do about it, because you don't want to beat the mez. And without any follow-up, you're stuck there mezzed forever, not being able to do anything about it.
Tank boots online as well for Dazer, another pickup of these exact same boots that we saw last game on the Fafnir. I mean, this has just kind of become the staple for him. Yakin barely gets out of that mez. And then thanks to Laria boots, able to give him that extra little bit of movement speed.
That would have been... I was going to call it curtains there for Yokin if he did get caught by that mez. Because Dacer then would have got his ult off. I believe Angry was around the corner as well. Preds was in the area, so not so sure if it would have been instant death for the support there, but it certainly was looking likely.
Gunter versus Angry, level 11 each of them, and Gunter's already got that Ring of Akate online, which every magical hunter in the game is just buying, because Ring of Akate, it's still pretty good, I would say.
Yeah, Ring of Akate is still a ridiculously good item, and you should invest in it while stocks are still as high as they are.
80 magical power, 30% attack speed, as well as 20% lifesteal. And then the Hex passive, which makes it essentially a magical Iqbal. You gain power and remove power from them for up to a few stacks onto it. So such a powerful boxing item, because the amount of just raw stats that it gives to you right off the bat, and then you throw the passive into it.
I mean, also remember when it, used to give you extra sustain by stealing sustain from them. That was a fun time as well. Gunter being ulted by himself in the middle lane, Angry going to be forced to teleport back, just leaving his support in a very dangerous spot. But look at here, Worst Turtle, who takes out everyone with that crushing wave. Preds eats the dust as well. What a play from Worst Turtle. Yokin still survives. Angry looks trying to clean this one up. Raiden finally puts an end to the jungler.
Angry's not able to find that ultimate to get the kill or possibly get a return fire. Spudio needs a beautiful ricochet if he's going to find anything onto Yakin. He'll continue to chase, but Yakin, for the moment, will make it back to the tower. We'll see if he can get one of them cheeky ricochets off. It doesn't look like it, but Worst Turtle just said, okay, you've got this giant field. Well, I'm CC immune when I use Crushing Wave. Just blast through all three of them with that ultimate. Huge damage pop off from it. Once again, you see the perspective into it. Sanctified Kill goes through. He says, all right, well, thank you very much. Here's 500 damage to both of your carries. And by the way, there goes both of your carries.
Yeah, I honestly thought he was going to get the triple kill there as well. Just a bit too tanky was Yokin, and I'm not going to say that too often. The Nine Turns Blessing giving him some damage mitigation is what allows him to survive the onslaught that was Worst Turtle's crushing wave. Raiden, not so fortunate as he took a spill there, which meant that somebody could get himself back into the game. Pred's forced to use the feed because of the pressure from Dazer. It's Kumbhakana pressure. This is ridiculous.
He's taking a ton of damage thanks to the Dark Omen in return. Epic uppercut out of Dazer.
Oh.
And the landing Raiden stood right under him. And unfortunately, that's going to be the end of the aggression out of Donkey Hoof. Just not where you want to be standing, is under the person who just got thrown up in the sky.
No, you could have used that to. He could have used that to his advantage if he was making the 5,000 IQ play, which is stand in front of where Yoko was going to land to be launched closer towards the Kumbhakana. That's using the element of the enemies to your advantage.
And unfortunately, he was standing behind him and gets thrown even further away from them instead. So, kind of call that your own accidental disengage. And Bevy is going to proxy farm up onto the top-hand side. 3 players surrounding Terrorum. He's going to force him back to his tower. He's going to take about a quarter of his health from Preds. Level 13, Terrorum's been struggling this game ever since that first death on his part. Crushing Wave out of Worst Turtle defensively. Dash in from Dazer. And Yakin not going to make it out of this one. Angry gets the quick pickup kill from there. And when your only form of mobility is down, I mean, you're just kind of a sitting duck as they're along.
Yeah, that's one of the powers of Kumbhakana. Just locked him in place. Yokin had nowhere to go for about 17,000 years. So it's what it feels like if you were playing as Yokin there. In reality, it's about 5 or 6 seconds worth of lockdown thanks to the Mez and the Groggy Strike route. And don't forget, routes aren't affected by diminishing returns. So even if it was CC'd 7 times before that, he would still be rooted for the same duration.
Well, Gunter just trying to put any kind of poke that he can, but Gold Fury being started up by Snake Pit, kind of sneaking this one through. Raiden has spotted it out as the Gold Fury is down to about half. They've spotted Gunter alone in the jungle. Data's going to take quite a bit of damage. Epic uppercut on a Gunter, dropping down inside the Suns. Purification beads forced out as Angry uses the ultimate to try and send him away, but gets the kill regardless. Angry teleports back into the backline. Worst Turtle now stuck in the middle of 3, but he's going to not check out the axe, but man, he's going to wait for 1. The pin is good, but Angry gets a double kill. Bevy Monster up into the Colossal Titan is not going to be enough. Triple kill out of Angry. Might be looking for another one onto the bottom, but it's Spudio and Tarum who are chasing down Raid. 4 kills for only 2. And they could be looking for Gold Fury. Preds is still in the area, but this is a risky call from him if he wants to go in.
Yeah, Angry knows exactly where he is because of that Heimdall passive. Just needs one more base pack to hit. And he needs one more after that. Around the corner is... Oh, what a play. That is a genius play by Angry.
Throws it over the wall without him even noticing, stands right down under, gets a big kill. So that's 5 players taken for 2 and a Gold Fury. Huge worthwhile play, and you can see the instant replay here for the triple kill out of Angry. Goes right past the 9 turns blessing with the Purification Beats. Tries to ult him. Managed to get the kill just off the damage and one more basic after. Waiting out the Sanctified Fields to teleport back into the back line. Immediately just goes right down in onto Yakin, who has no defense left. Quick double kill, and then, well, here's a Colossal Fury. Not going to matter to him. Big triple kill out of Angry. Puts 9 kills and later on 11 to round it out on the board for Snake Pit.
I just loved his play of putting the Bifrost around the corner. Because Prez was just playing Ring Around the Rosie, and Angry goes, enough of this charade. I'm done with this. Teleports around, one basic. You can see the replay of it right here. Just one more basic is needed at this point. Hits it, gets a tiny bit of health, teleports, and gets the kill just before he gets into the invis. Preds with no chance of finding that one out.
This is a great little sneaky play there out of Angry on the mid lane. We can see why a lot of the momentum from these games has been played out of Angry and out of Worst Turtle. Specifically in that last fight, we saw that Angry kind of held up a lot of it for him. Got the 1 kill, immediately teleports out, recognizes I'm too far in, need to get back to safety. Bifrost all the way to the back line of his team to make sure he can get himself into safety, and then just ramps up the chainsaw, says, all right, who's next? And gets 2 more kills right after, and then a 3rd one after the big charade there against Fred. So 5 kills on the board for Angry, 4 for Worst Turtle.
Yeah, there could be just a bit more damage onto Yokin there. He's not been having the best of times in this game yet again, and we've seen when Yokin's had a good game, the rest of Donkey Youth have been on their A game as well, and they've been able to push on, go for quite close games, most of the time victories. But when Yokin's been put under the cosh, been struggling, it's sort of been the same story for the Donkey Youth team in general. Look for aggression there, it's tried to remove the mark from himself by transforming into the Vamana. Going to go on aggressive onto Spudio. The rest of the team, they're trying to help heal him off, and they're going to attack that crushing wave melts it.
And that's going to be one more big melt on the bottom side. Another double kill for Angry as the epic uppercut sets up for that kill. Yakin now on full retreat alongside Gunter, as they have no way of trying to defend against this red buff. Dazzling Offensive doesn't hit the 2nd swipe, so the 3rd one will not get the stun, but they don't need it because there's more than enough lockdown out of this Kumbhakarn. Dazer sets up for another kill for Worst Turtle. Now 12 between the mid and jungler out of Snake Pit, rounding out 12 of the 14 kills that this team has.
Once more, mid-tier 1 falls down, left-tier 1 falls down, mid-tier 2 falls down as the Snake Pit round up their lead even higher. They managed to get the stuff after the stuff, as one former commentator used to say consistently. You're going to get the tier 2 tower in the left side as well. It's a huge sweep and a huge swing of gold there.
And that was what? I mean, that was what, 4,000 gold in a matter of a minute that they just picked up there, not even counting all the extra gold from the kills that they managed to grab during that fight. 14-5 on the scoreboard. 5,400 gold after the tier 1 and solo lane gets taken down, with Tarum unable to get there to defend it in time. I mean, it's such a struggling point for Donkey Hoof, and like we said, it's kind of coming off the back of Yakin is unable to get anything out of this Erlang Shen this game.
Oh, if they pick the Erlang Shen for early aggression, for early fight, they've not been able to take them. In fact, Fred has been erased from existence. Hello, calling Donkey Hoof. Are you missing a jungler? I think I know where he went. Back to the Shadow Realm.
Yeah, that was an 887 crushing wave out of Worst Turtle. Fire Giant gonna be secured by Snake Pit, and they'll pick up Yakin on the back end of it. Cursed Onk onto
cool.
Bevy Monster. They're just walking at him at this point because they know he's going down. Double kill for Spudio. And there's just no chance for the Big Baby to go through. Only 2 towers left on the board, but it's 2 towers into the solo lane. So they'll go ahead and grab their quick first tier 1 tower. Maybe clear out the wave, and that way they can push up for a second one.
Yeah, that was just a tiny bit cruel. The fact that he picked up an upgraded Ankh and they're going to use it every single time against the Commander and against the Erlang Shen ultimate. They were probably going to kill the Commander regardless if they decided to use it. You're guaranteed to get a drop on the extra damage for it because he's constantly healing in that ultimate. Tier 2 tower did fall down. Raiden wants nothing to do with this fight. He wants to push against the farm, get the tower through his team. He's got the tier 1 tower. They may be losing the Phoenix for it.
Well, Preds goes out into the Sanctified Fields with his own ultimate out of the Yola run, but Worst Turtle does not care about Sanctified Fields. It's him and Angry team up. But hey, look, here's a second one. This time, this one thrown out by the Gunter himself. Angry not throwing in the base attack. Rain manages to find one. The ult out of Angry is off the mark yet again. He's been unsuccessful in finding these hits. Beads to get away from the ricochet out of the Hunter. Spudio finds another kill in the fight, so that's 2 for the Hunter in this fight alone. Raiden is getting it chunked down by the ricochet. I thought he had that one for a second. I had to hold my breath to make sure. He doesn't manage to find it. Instead, gets the Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix is taken by the side of Snake Pit. They lose 2 in the process. Dazer managed to survive the first Sanctified Field, but a bit of deja vu puts him back down into a respawn. Worst Turtle finds himself a respawn timer as well, just too aggressive in the background. You can't blame him. He's concerning. I was not able to get that ultimate off, and he could potentially have.
For the Fury, Primal is up. Raiden and Yakin are here, but they're staring down 3 members of Snake Pit. The Angry is going to go back to base. I don't think any Primal Fury is to be had just yet. 8,800 gold. 100 gold in as well. And this is starting to turn into a slippery downhill slope for Donkey Hoof.
Yeah, Donkey Hoof are just not on their game right now. They were very, very good in game number 1, but this is supposed to be Snake Pit waking up and getting themselves back together and proving why they are pushing to try and break into that top 2. It's been a good, accomplished team performance in game 2 and 3. It's honestly, I feel like it's been on the back of Worst Turtle, who gets another solo kill, and Dazer once again having a good performance. 0, 3, and 15 on the support, 15 assists out of the 21 kills total for Snake Pit, but he's just controlled the pace of the game right from the get-go.
I'm just wondering what Preds was doing all the way up there, because that was at like the back camp for Worst Turtle, where he ended up getting that kill. Or Preds playing a little too aggressive and not able to get anything off of this Morgan, which we've seen banned time and time again here in the SEC. Very rarely does she ever get through, and right now, Preds is just not able to have the same performance of this guy that we've seen into the past. Raiden, nowhere to go as he gets pincered by 3 on the Snake Pit and dies at the what was the speed camp. Now pushing into the mid lane, Phoenix as Yakin is dealing with 1 all the way at the backhand side, but thrown to Niflheim, and the Phoenix under half health, landing right back down as Bevy Monster up into the ultimate, but there's just no chance for him, and Preds, before he even can get out of the crushing wave, he is gone. Double kill for Angry. Gunter and Yakin the only ones left, and it's only really Gunter because Yakin is trying to hold off against 1 up to the back. Gunter gets dazed through the Sanctified Fields enough to hold it for the time being, so it's just the 3 carries here to deal with this one Hunter. But those bouncing shots from the Odysseus bow are so big, but Gunter is not going to find his way out. Crushing wave from Worst Turtle just add insult to injury. Titan is low, but they're kind of juggling the aggro back and forth. All 3 of them so low, but finally it will fall. And Snake Pit, after a hard-fought Game 1 loss, come back with 2 rather commanding victories in these games 2 and 3.
Yeah, the set sort of went, okay, we're warming up. We're still warming up. This is us not even our full potential, but something close to it. It looked rather comfortable, looked sort of like the games you would have been expecting in game number 3. Just Snake Pit doing what Snake Pit do best and pressing and holding W key, centered around Angry 10-0 and 8 on the Heimdall in the mid lane. And Worst Turtle giving a very, very solid performance in the jungle once again. I think he's just been, in all 3 games, been the most consistent player for the Snake Pit in this set. And it's paid dividends to him, the fact that he is the jungler rather than somebody like a solo laner.
And not just that, Angry has also been putting up a really solid performance. Between Angry and Worcester, with how consistent they've been in all 3 of these games, especially with Angry going to the Hunters, which we haven't typically seen out of him. We've usually been seeing him on the Merlin, Raijin, kind of just traditional mages, but he's really stepped out and shown he's got these Hunters in his back pocket.
I mean, if anybody who's played against him consistently in Europe does know that he does have the Hunters in his pocket, it's to what degree has been the question. You know, does he want to bring it out consistently at the competitive level, or is it something that he's picking in ranked because everyone wants to pick whatever they want in ranked when they're at that sort of level? And that sort of answered the question for everybody. It's they want us to play these gods consistently when the team needs them to. The second game, they sort of needed him to because they had the Freya, but this game, he had the choice of a mage or going into a Hunter again, and he chose to go into the Hunter this time.
And coming up with 10 kills is definitely nothing shy of a pretty stellar performance onto those Hunters as well for him. So with that, Snake Pit come out with another victory. I believe that secures them 3rd seed amongst the EU SEC. And unfortunately for Donkey Hoof, unable to come up with a set victory for this entire split. They will be on the bottom end of it, staring down relegations going into the next phase. But even with these hard losses in game number 2, and especially in game number 3, the performance improvement that they've had from week number 1's just hard loss to the Poppies has been immense in these past weeks. And that game 1 against Snake Pit is a shining moment for them. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do, potentially coming back here in phase number 4.
Yeah, it all comes down to how much has this experience affected them and how well can they play in those relegations coming up. And honestly, I am rooting for them to come back even stronger and show us the fact that they can take sets in the next split.
It's going to see them get something better onto Yakin, because I feel that Yakin is the player that they really play through the hardest onto this team. Get Yakin onto something strong for him. I'm not going to say only give Yakin the Emoja, but if you can get him a Yamoja, get him that god, because he was a monster on it game 1. And moving into the future for them, I do wish them the best, as they do have to stare down relegations. But for you guys at home, wait no longer. We'll wait a few more minutes, because we've got the set that I think everybody's been waiting for the entire phase. The Poppies and Belt Slap fighting for the 1st seed here in just a few minutes after the break. Stick around. We'll be back in just a few short minutes.
Big boy nerds, gonna get 'em all.